Hiya Benchmates, welcome to episode 25 of Beyond the Box Art, your fortnightly scale modelling fix. Your host, as usual, is Brownie, with his co-hosts Dan, Nevs, Balders and Shane, and are joined by Vladimir Šulc and Jakub Nademlejnský from Eduard.
Hello Benchmates, and welcome to episode 25 of Beyond the Box Art. Now, before we get stuck into this episode, you'll notice something a little different about how the show sounds. Over the past few months, as the podcast has grown, and we're now reaching listeners in 79 countries worldwide regularly, we've been listening just as closely to what you have to say. And what has become clear is that the strength of this show has always been at its best when the conversation is tight, focused, and gives each subject the space it deserves. So from this episode onwards, we're evolving how the show is brought to you. You'll hear a more consistent core crew, with each voice playing to their strengths, and a clearer flow through the episode, whether that's the latest releases, interviews, or what's happening across the global modelling community. That doesn't mean fewer voices in the long run, quite the opposite. It means that we'll be bringing people in, it's for a reason. More focus, more clarity, and ultimately a better listen for you at the bench. So, your new core crew comprises of Dan Brazil.
Hello Benchmates.
Mike Baldwin.
Hello all.
James Nevitt.
Hiya Benchmates.
And stepping up from the stash inflation, Shane Cowie.
How's it going, Benchmates?
So, clear a space at the bench, grab a brew, settle in. Episode 25 of Beyond the Box Art starts now. So, we've obviously just come off the 48 in 48 weekend event. Dan, and what did you think of it?
First time for me being involved in it. I'd known about it over the years, but first time properly engaging with it, I would say. And I absolutely loved it. I couldn't do every minute of it. I wasn't one of those that could start on Friday and finish on Sunday and be at the bench all the time. Family stuff gets in the way, as one-to-one scale life, as I call it. But just to sort of dip in and out, even just listening when I can, I was needing to do something in the kitchen, and I just put the live stream on, put my headphones on, and just listened along. I wasn't even sitting at my bench to do that. Obviously, registering properly as one of the people online on the website to display your builds as well. I did do that to sort of help show my support, but it was just a really, really nice thing to be involved, and it really did feel like an event in our hobby, particularly. I know it's worldwide, but I think it felt like a real UK based event, which is exactly what it was. Obviously very different from Scale Model World. It's a totally different thing, and it's very organic and very online in its sort of true form. But yeah, it's just, and so many names and people that you recognize, and it's some people that you know the names, you don't necessarily know what they look like, so you got to see who people were as well. And yeah, it's just a lovely thing to be involved with, and what a really worthwhile cause. I did say to James at the end of the day, if all of this saves or helps one person, ex-forces or ex-emergency services, if it helps save one person, then it's all worth it at the end of the day. I have no doubt there have been probably hundreds of people that have really, really benefited from Models for Heroes, and that's only a good thing going forward. And it seems now that modelling, scale modelling as a form of mental health therapy, which personally I benefit massively from it, and I'm not ashamed to say it, and I think us blokes need to do a little bit more of that, not being ashamed to say it. There's nothing, we don't expect people to stand on the rooftop and shout it out to the world saying, I'm proud that I have mental health struggles. You don't have to do that, but just, you know, first of all, admitting to yourself Is everything 100%? Probably not. I'm just going to sit down at the bench and do a bit of decompressing. That is dealing with your mental health at the end of the day. And if you've got a sore throat or a poor foot or whatever, you go to the doctor. That's your physical health. But if you've got a mental health thing, a lot of us blokes in particular sort of bumble around, put a lid on it, put it in a bottle, and that's not good for any of us. So an event like the 48 in 48, as well as being raising awareness and helping people with mental health problems and being there for the services, I think it's also a very, very valuable tool for us that are not ex-forces or in the services. So yeah, but I loved it. It was such a lovely thing to be involved with.
I thought it was absolutely fascinating. On my commute home from Wales on the Friday afternoon, pre the start of the main event, I actually listened to the audio for the feed as I was driving home, so I managed to listen to 4 hours of it.
Oh, brilliant, yeah.
And every time I stopped for a comfort break, I sent in an appropriately worded message for the guys. But one thing I was disappointed at was the complete lack of hobnobs on view. I shall be speaking to Mr. Skiffins about that. No hobnobs in sight.
Lacking. Yeah, well, at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I like a hobnob, but they haven't got muffins, have they?
Well, this is true.
I'm just putting it out there. You know, when you come to our stand at Telford, you know that there's muffins, and that we're not just talking your cheap garage last minute sort of late evening muffin that's been sitting there all day looking sad. We got the good stuff. So I'm just putting it out there, Mr. Skiffins. We got the muffins. You might have a pack of biscuits, but we got the high end stuff going on where we are.
Oh yes. Did you see the unfortunate appearance on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was good.
It was good fun, and I was speaking to the guys.
Yeah, and you've got to talk about what we're doing here, which is fantastic, you know.
Exactly. Plus, for those that aren't aware, we actually offered up a co-host seat in all 3 locations. So in Australasia, or Oceania as it's now referred to as, in the UK and European version, and also in the American. And in total, our lots combined raised just over £400.
That's incredible.
So to those that gave the money and put up the funds for that, thank you very much. We will get in touch as soon as Mr. Skiffins gets round to giving us the full details, but we will obviously have you on and treat you with the content that Dan deserves.
Well, I watched the auction for it. I was quite surprised when the lot come up. I knew something was happening, and I was watching the bidding, and I thought, and funny enough, my missus was there, and I said, wow, look at this bid someone's just put in. And then it kept going up and up and up. And I said, wow. So congratulations to the winning bidder. I can't remember exactly who it was, but that was good form, sir.
Yep.
Did you build anything for this, Brownie? Did you sign up to build?
I did, and I've started. It was a Tamiya 148, so I kept with the original theme of 48, and I basically snipped off 48 components off the sprue, cleaned them up, and that's as far as I've got.
Well, that's fine.
But as James said, it's about the taking part, not the completing it. So it will be finished. The pictures will arrive on there. But yes, I'm going for one of the 162s that was captured and is in air ministry markings. So with roundels rather than with German markings on. So something a little different.
Yeah. What's the tooling on that? Do you know how old the tooling is?
Absolutely no idea. But I shall find out when I start putting it together and looking at the date and thinking, oh, God.
Well, I mean, even early Tamiya's still pretty good, isn't it? I mean, sort of 70s, 80s Tamiya's not too bad. That's a good starting point. But yeah, I did the 148 M10 Achilles that I got it all put together, and I textured the rolled and cast metal areas on it using the Mr. Surface 500 technique, and dug out, I think it's Red Dog. They seem to be one of the only companies that did 148 resin multi-pack stowage, bits and pieces, bed rolls, all sorts of stuff like that. You can buy the Tamiya. They do a box that got oil drums and jerry cans, and you do get a few bits and pieces in the figure sets, but not a huge amount. And these Achilles tanks, all of my reference photos for them showed them absolutely stacked with stowage. The M10 obviously is the American name for it, but we changed and called ours the Achilles tank destroyer.
Oh, okay.
So they are essentially the same vehicle. Because it's got the open turret, you've got to put stuff inside.
Right, okay. So I take it the model's an homage to Rob Riv, because I should imagine it's the same as this latest episode of the Modelling Insanity, where he says even the glue's asking for paint.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I'm quite proud of the photos that I took of it.
They were good.
And was thinking of our good friend over there from Long Island, Mr. Riviezo. And also, as an aside to that, so once the event finished, I have been continuing with it. So it is now in paint. Obviously, you guys can see on the screen. And I put the decals on last night. But also, do you remember the KV2 that I took to Telford in naked form?
Yes.
That's now got paint on it. That was primed and painted, but it's got a lot of photo etch on it. So I was a bit worried. I know that you can use your Mr. Surfacer in the rattle can, but I still think the jury's out on if that stuff sticks to photo etch. And I'm just seeing what Shane is holding up there.
Yeah, so what I'm holding up here is the old Mr. Hobby, Mr. Metal Primer. And yeah, it's absolutely incredible stuff.
I can go one better on that.
Go on in, Brownie.
I use a product that one of our sponsors makes. SMS make an etch prime that you can airbrush onto your model, onto plastic, photo etch and resin. And it's absolutely brilliant. And a little tip, put a spot of black paint into the clear etch so you can actually see where you've sprayed. Job done.
What a tip that is. I like that.
Wow. Never thought to do that. Fantastic.
So, yeah, you can get to the etch prime from SMS, and it is absolutely brilliant.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
When we get to the point that you've asked me what I spent my money on, I'm going to add on there, just recently bought SMS.
Oh, right. That's going on the shopping list.
Exactly. That's a really good shout, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is really difficult on the metal parts. I found that out when I was doing the paintwork for the prop blur that I've got, which is effectively photo etch, which you guys will see hopefully on the Benchmates Facebook page shortly, because the model itself is actually built, but need to do the base for it. But saw some really good posts on the weekend from the 48 from 48. I don't know if you wanted to go through those, Dan, but yeah, it was really cool to see those posts flying in over the weekend, because
yeah,
I sort of watched from afar this time round.
So I checked on the private Benchmates group that we have.
The Facebook page is not private as in no one can join. It's private to stop spammers and those that are, I'll say, undesirables from commenting. So it's a little haven for us modelers to go to. Just go to the group tab on the left-hand side of your Facebook and look in there, and you will find the Beyond the Box Art Benchmates. Just click on that, join, and participate with the 500 plus members we now have, as we've hit that milestone just before we started recording.
I had a little look through to try and work out what Benchmates were actually taking part officially in the 48 and 48. So we had Craig from Aussie Scale Models, who did a fantastic build of the Zaku Gundam. I think I've got that one right. And he did some really nice worn and scratched effect weathering, and I think the colours that he chose for it really showed that off to its full potential. So that was lovely to see. It was a Zaku, wasn't it, Shane? Not my wheelhouse, mate.
Yeah, Zaku, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and do you know what? It's a quality build, to be fair. 48 hours, not just the Gundams, but the other stuff that was coming on as well. There was some incredible paintwork. Fair play to all you guys that took part and managed to get so much paint down. And
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
I saw this beautiful, was it a Hunter that had this mottling effect on it?
Messerschmitt 262. That was Sam Dwyer.
Of course it was.
Yeah, that was obviously Sam with the 262. I can't believe he got as far as he did with that.
It was ridiculous.
Because that's not a small aircraft to do. So fair play to you, Mr. Dwyer, because that was absolutely beautiful. And can I just give a mention to the Messerschmitt that Sam did? Was it the BF 109, the Airfix one that he finished recently?
Oh, the 124th.
Oh my God. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll take my hat off to you, Sam. That was really, really nice. Absolute pleasure to see.
Oh, don't big it up too much, because you do know he's actually coming on as a guest very shortly.
Oh, is he? Oh, well, there we go. We can dig into that, to what he did on that. Well, both the builds, actually. And I would imagine by then he will have the 262 finish as well. So, yeah, keep us updated on that, please, Mr. Dwyer. So we also had Corin Gray with his really cool 148 Hobby Boss FJ4 Fury, which he displayed in flight. I mean, come on, we love to see that, don't we? You've got to see them in flight. So many people put models on the deck with the wheels down. So fair play to you, buddy, for putting that in flight. Good to see. And Martin Holst with his really cool Bandai Star Wars A-Wing that I believe he finished as well. So fair play to you, Mr. Holst. That was really good to see. So yeah, I think that was it. I think we had, obviously, me, you, Brownie, Craig, Corin, Martin, and Sam Dwyer sort of officially taking part in it. And I believe we all have albums as well on there, don't we, on the 48 and 48 page.
Not forgetting Stuart from Black Hat.
Oh, of course, yeah, Stuart as well.
For those that haven't seen it, check out Black Hat's YouTube channel, and you can see the evidence of the build, which didn't quite go to plan. We won't spoil the punchline, but the wings looked absolutely fantastic. We'll leave the rest for the video. Oh, he's going to be so annoyed. Anyway.
I'm not saying anything. Put it this way, I've felt like that a few times with projects over the years.
Colonisation doesn't come close to it.
Well, no. And I did take part. I would say to Benchmates, even if we're not intending to buy anything, watching the auctions is really good fun to watch and view. But if you do fancy a cheeky bid, you can bits up on there a lot cheaper. There was a 2-year Airfix Mag membership that went for like £45.
It's nuts.
I know.
Bargain.
And I myself, I did have my eye on a certain lot. Now, as you know, I have jumped on the 132nd train and I've got a few. The only thing I haven't got is a Messerschmitt BF 109. And there wasn't a Qatari one. And if there was, I probably would have bid on that. But there was a Zukimura Messerschmitt BF 109 G4. And I thought, got my eye on that. So, yeah, I was ready with the judicious use of the snipe in bidding. And put it this way, I paid £30 over retail for it. And the way I see it, I got a really, really good model kit and gave some money for the charity as well. Although the charity gets all of the money. So I think that was fair enough. Oh, and of course, I got me 2 Wing Leader Spitfire books, one on the Mark 1 and one on the Mark 9. So I got them a lot cheaper than what they would be. So it all balances it out. I keep telling myself.
You keep telling yourself that, you'll believe it one day.
Yeah, I will do.
Well, I managed to get a lot as well.
Yeah, come on in. Tell us what you got.
I bought 9 bottles of SMS paint for £41.
That's a bargain.
It is a bargain, of which there's a couple of limited edition colours in that bomb bundle as well.
Oh, right.
But yes, so that's what I've got.
Very nice.
Have you got plans for any of them?
I don't know yet because I haven't seen what colours I've actually got, but it was SMS paints. And from the picture, it was some of the core colours, of which I've got specific RAF colours from SMS so far. But I've still got my MRP paints I need to get shot of because I've got about 120 bottles of MRP that I haven't opened.
Really?
And the problem I had with it is the colour, absolutely brilliant. Love it. But even with the respirator on, which I always use when I'm spraying, I just had so many issues with my chest afterwards.
Yeah, it's not good.
Then I tried some SMS, absolutely no reaction from me.
Right.
So if anyone wants to buy 120 bottles of MRP paint, please help, because I need to replace it with SMS.
Yeah. Shane, what paints do you predominantly have in your collection?
Predominantly? So I predominantly paint in Vallejo, to be fair. There's some Tamiya thrown in there as well, but the majority of Vallejo. I hooked my father-in-law on it as well because he, traditional modeler, loves building models, but paints in enamel, or used to anyway. But then when he started seeing the acrylic technology, he loved seeing the results that we were getting with the Valleys.
Do you find you don't have any problems with, I hate this term, tip dry on the airbrush? Yeah, all right, Brownie.
Yeah, to be fair, there is a little bit. I think ultimately there are certain factors, obviously temperature, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, the air pressure you're spraying at. There's obviously a few variable factors, but I think as long as you are disciplined and you get into the habit of do a bit, check your tip, so to speak, and then just get into the habit of making sure that you keep the end of the airbrush clean at all times. It's a really good fundamental.
What airbrush is your main one in the arsenal?
My weapon of choice is the Harder&Stee back Evolution.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
So I treated myself about 18 months or so ago. But yeah, I've got the dual version, so I can change the needle. So it's got the two, which is one is, I think is it something like 0.45, and then the other one is a lot smaller.
What airbrush do you mainly use, Brownie?
I've got a couple of Harder and Steenbecks, and I've also got a pair of Procon Boys as well.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, so you're fully covered there.
I use one of the Harder and Steenbecks purely for clear coat, but I also use one of the Procons purely for metallics.
Yeah, good idea.
So I don't actually cross-contaminate and just putting a clear coat in thinking you've cleaned the gun down, you get that one lovely little speckle suddenly appear on it.
Yeah. You see this come up a lot online on Facebook and whatnot, and people say, oh, I'm just getting back in, gonna look for an airbrush, what should I get? And so many people go, don't buy an expensive one, buy one of the cheapo ones. And I bide my time, and I will either PM the person and say, look, I'm no expert on these things, but if you can maybe sacrifice a couple of kits and add that to the airbrush money that you've got, try to buy something that comes with possibly a bit longer warranty, something that comes from I know we're going to be biased, a UK seller, rather than just ordering it blind from some random on Amazon or whatever, because you've got the backup. Then there's a problem with this, can you help me? You know, they're going to be able to help you. Any reputable company is going to be able to help you. So I have my favorite airbrush that I use all the time is my Iwata HPCS.
Oh, I've got one of those as well.
If I never had to use any other airbrush, or if I only had to use one airbrush and get rid of all the others, it would be that, because it does pretty much do everything, and it does everything very well, even down to I can get pencil line out of it. Now, obviously, a lot of that comes with experience and technique, but the real cheap ones that you see for 20 quid, they might get you started, but sooner or later, you're going to find out that those things do have limitations, and they are engineered. The tolerances of very fine engineering that these precision tools should have, I just wonder about if that's the best start to recommend to someone. I mean, my Iwata was secondhand. The colour cup inside, the metal had actually started to tarnish, but you can get every single spare part for them as well. So not that I've had to. I have started cleaning it with some because I use quite harsh Mr. Tool Cleaner. So I've started cleaning it after and flushing it through with the Ultimate Modelling Products. They do this cleaner now, the blue cleaner, that helps to lubricate the needle and the seals inside, because I wasn't doing that, and I found that the trigger was getting stuck down, and because I didn't know that you had to use the lube stuff that goes down. And since I've started using that, it's been worth it. So yeah, for new modelers, I would say, new or coming back in, I would say just maybe go for a mid-range, rather than, if you can afford it, maybe go for a mid-range than a real bottom end budget, because you're probably going to end up buying the better one at some point anyway, and it might be worth skipping that step.
I recommend that. That's very good advice, because that's exactly what I did. Got a cheap airbrush, and then yeah, you're right, over time you're going to get the mid-range or slightly more expensive one anyway. So I use the Harder&Stee back Evolution. I've got the dual version. So I've got two needles. One's a 0.45 and one's a 0.28. So you can do the fine line stuff if you want to do ultra detail. It isn't the most expensive airbrush in the range. But like you just said there, it doesn't have to be brand new either. The second hand or the refurbished stuff is such good value. And also the technology as well. I think, I'm not sure if the listeners are aware, but like Harder and Steenbeck have the Ultra airbrush, which I think is about 90 quid, which sounds a lot. It sounds a lot. But for those that are beginners to airbrushing or to those that are returning, that haven't done it for such a long time, brushes like the Ultra have preset gauges on them. So if you're doing primer, for example, you can set it to the primer setting and the trigger will only come back so far. If you're doing finer work, you set it to the finer work setting and it will limit the trigger motion even more. So you can build confidence up really quickly. And those that maybe have slightly like mobility issues or issues with their hands, there are trigger airbrushes. And you know what? That was a game changer for the kids because, as I'm sure listeners know, both my boys build, and they're 8 and 11. They found it really difficult with the finger over the top on the airbrush, but the trigger, yeah, they were well away. No problem whatsoever. And again, doesn't have to break the bank, does it?
Yeah. No. Did you go down the road of rattle cans as well?
Cans, yes. The youngest, those that come to a lot of regular model shows will notice that there are a few models on the table that are red and or yellow, because I might have had a red and yellow spray can, which the boys thought was brilliant. So we dabbled in it a little bit, but generally speaking now, like everything I do is through the airbrush. Similar to you, Brownie, I'll confess, still have the old 20 quid Amazon one, which I use for mostly my varnishing.
Yeah.
Just simply because if you don't quite clean it 100%, even when you think you have, it can still be a bit of work. And I don't mind, to be honest with you, having to faff around a little bit and changing seals on something that's only cost me 20 quid, as opposed to, quite honestly, my pride and joy when it comes to my airbrush. There are limits, but yeah, a good few tips there for the people that are maybe apprehensive or anxious about doing airbrushing. It doesn't have to cost the world, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't want people to go, oh, it's all right for you, but I've built up to the good stuff. And the way I see it, that extra, the cost of 3 kits, do you really need those 3 kits if you've got a massive stash anyway, or you're getting back into the hobby? Maybe buy one really, really good kit that you want and build that to the best of your ability, and maybe put the rest of the money that you would have clicked, oh, I want that one and I want that one and I want that one, maybe buy yourself a good mid-range to higher end airbrush with that money. I just think it's a better investment over time.
Yeah, totally agree with you there.
Yep, fully on board with that. Fully on board. Well, whilst we're actually talking about spraying, what have you actually got on your bench at the moment? Let's start with Dan.
Yeah, as I say, the Achilles, which has been sprayed, and I used the Ammo olive drab, and they do a light olive drab as well. I find now that I need to go lighter with my colours, because when I then put my weathering over the top, it tends to dull everything down. So if you start with a dark olive drab, now there are 50 different brands of olive drab out there. So, which, yeah, we'll use a lot of that, particularly if you're doing military models. Some of them are very dark, some of them are medium, and some of them are a little bit lighter, but not many of them are. So I would always do my base coat. I like my Tamiya. I love the Tamiya LP, which you don't see everywhere in their olive drab, and then lighten it up with the lighter olive drab over the top with the Ammo stuff. And that gives me a good base for then going back over with the darker tones with washes and weathering. And so, yeah, that's painted, deckled now, and I've got loads of stowage to sit and paint, but I'll brush paint that. And I've got the KV2, which we took to Telford, that was in its naked form, which has now been painted. I'm going to do a winter whitewash finish on that. So I've been watching Stuart Rolfe from Black Hat, his chipping and sort of paint worn effects videos on doing the hairspray chipping or the chipping fluid, which is basically what chipping fluid. It is hairspray. So yeah, that's going to be winter whitewash, but very worn.
Have you got the Atom Whitewash White?
No, I haven't. I watched Night Shift, and he added, and I never would have thought to do this, he added a touch of green to the white, because the white can be very, very stark. So he did a first layer of the white, did a very mottled airbrushed finish for winter whitewash, and then did some of the worn effects, then went back over it with just pure white. So you got a bit of variation in tone, and that's what I really want to try and avoid. Now, bearing in mind, it's going to be the first time I do it, and these 148K V2s are getting quite hard to find, particularly the Tam one, which I really like, so I don't want to mess it up. So that is what's been going on with the armour side of things. And eventually, now that my club competition build is done, aircraft-wise, I can get back on my Eduard bloody 100th B-17.
Your happy place.
My happy place. The land of the mighty ape.
So other than the 48 and 48 build items you mentioned already, what have you actually been spending your cash on?
That was it, really, if I'm honest with you. Some of you will know that I'm going to be starting or have started a building project, which is going to be a multi-use area and will eventually be my new hobby room. So I'm going to be spending money on one-to-one scale stuff like timber and screws.
Fair enough. Okay. Shane, what have you got on the bench?
So I have got the second of my P51 Mustangs, which I mentioned back in January that I was going to embark on building. So one's finished, which was done in the 67th Bomber Squadron from the Korean War in the late 40s. So that's on the Benchmates group. And then the other one, because I'm doing it flying.
In flight.
I've got to build a base in flight with a prop blur. I've got to build a base for it. So that is currently on the bench. Like most things, when you get into something and you see another scheme, I couldn't resist buying a third Mustang. So there is another Mustang on the bench, which I did intend to build the scheme Jersey Jerk from the Fighter Collection in one of the two Airfix 51s that I bought. But I love the two other schemes so much. And after I got one built, I realised that actually it is still a two-seater. So I bought a Tamiya kit along with some Eduard Brassin seats as well. So I've converted the Tamiya Mustang to a two-seater, and that is now at the point where I can paint it. So yeah, I want to try and get these two off the bench, hopefully in the next week and a half, ready for some big arrivals.
Oh dear, we'll come on to that in just a second. Quick question reference your two-seater. Have you made a blown canopy for the extended rear seat? Because all of the current Flyers two-seaters have actually got a slightly enlarged rear canopy. So rather than the ordinary single-seat canopy, the teardrop is actually slightly extended for the height of the guys at the back.
So I haven't done that, which I know the rivet counters will really like. But no, I haven't done that. But what I did do is I sunk the rear seat down ever so slightly. So it does work. I did dry fit it a few times before. But it's for me. I wanted it to be a two-seater. And it doesn't necessarily have to be absolutely correct. In my eyes, anyway. I know some people won't agree.
So on the real thing, do they have a smaller fuel load, the two-seaters? Because don't they have a fuel tank behind the pilot in the single-seater?
Well, the Fighter Collection has still got the fuel tanks for the wings. So they had that. I've just got to go a bit further. Drop tanks, yes. So those I have built, and they are right.
Well, here's a question for you. What were most of the drop tanks made out of that were used during the war?
I have absolutely no idea.
Go on, Dan.
Were they made of paper mache?
They were.
Yeah. Well, some of them were. Yeah.
Yeah. Vast majority were. They were expendable. So it was a case of, why make it out of something that's going to last, literally just needs to last for the mission? Because normally, especially for the long range flights over towards Berlin, etc., they drop them anyway.
Well, every day's a learning day, guys. I'm happy with that.
You're having quite an episode so far, aren't you?
I certainly am.
I think some of them were Ali as well.
Yeah.
They probably would have had a blister liner in them. And we went to Santa Pod. Yeah, it was another Mighty 8th base, I know. We went to one of the hot rod drag car days there, and there were a few people that had these crazy builds, and one of them looked very suspiciously to me like it was made from a drop tank. It was don't think it was a drag car, it was a hot rod style car. And I was asking the chap, and he said I couldn't find an original one to build, so he said we made this. They made a wooden buck that was the same dimensions as a drop tank it was actually a Thunderbolt drop tank. They were a little bit bigger, and they copied the dimensions of it and made a hot rod car out of a drop tank. Fantastic. And it obviously had pin-up girl painted on the side of it and all the rest of it. Yeah, really cool.
I just assumed that they were steel or aluminium, but there you go, paper mache as well. Madness.
Or steel be too heavy, so it would have been alley primarily that it was used. But yeah, it was basically to save wasting alley on something that was expendable. That's why I went down the paper mache route.
There you go.
Exactly. So then, Shane, what have you been spending your cash on?
Cash-wise, well, so I think I mentioned before, I pre-ordered the Monument EX, which is a third-party Gundam, which is a 1/60th scale. So it's going to be a bit of a monster. That is due to arrive in April. So hence why I want to get these models off the bench to make some space.
What size are we talking?
Fully extended with its wings is going to be 72 centimeters wide, and it is 73 centimeters tall, stood up. So nearly 3/4 of a meter.
I was just going to say, of which the 135th Gigant that's coming out will give that a run for its money. Worked out the other day the span of the thing. Have a guess.
I dread to think. Was it 35th, did you say?
135th.
I think it's going to be over a metre wide, surely.
1.57 metres.
Oh my God. That's an acquired taste, isn't it?
Yes, quite.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Bad.
It's a case of who the hell is going to have a space for one of those, because you're not going to be able to actually just bolt this thing together. You're going to have to, with the supports that are going to be integral to keeping the outer wings on. And it's a case of, I can see dioramas with the front section of it being chopped off and we use as a diorama with the vehicle being loaded or unloaded from it, etc. I cannot see a 1/35th diorama going to Telford with vehicles and everything else. A, you're going to get a hernia lifting it. B, is going to take up the size of a 6-foot table. Plus, what are you going to do with it?
If someone's going to be sat here going, challenge accepted, Brownie.
Yeah. I'm just thinking how they're going to transport it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just going to be a nightmare. But is it 27 it's due out?
Is it like Q3 or something, 27? So it's a long way off, isn't it?
Mm.
Something like that, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, if it ever actually comes to fruition.
I mean, I think they wonder they didn't waste aluminium during the war, because they're going to need some to make some moulds and whatever else, aren't they?
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, other than the EX, I've pre-ordered both of DBMK's releases, 32nd scale Sea Fury and 32nd scale Hornet, which I'm really looking forward to picking up. And in preparation of that, I visited Brooks Models and I stocked up on my Vallejo cleaner, thinner, and a few other primers as well. And as Bold has mentioned on the last episode, the jig that he got from 3D Gizmo did cause quite a bit of a stir. And I might have acquired one of those.
Define might.
So on my desk, just here to the side of me, is my jig that I wish I bought years ago. And yes, Mr. Brazil's got one as well. So there you go.
You haven't, yeah. Yes.
So thanks, Brooks Models, for picking those up. But I think I wish I bought one so long ago. My goodness me, what a game changer that is. So for those that are in no matter how far in your creative journey you are, if you don't have a jig, go and get one. They are really useful.
If you can't afford one, make one.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really, really handy.
Shane, I know what I was going to mention to you. The hobby company have announced today that they are in partnership with Bandai and they're going to be bringing the full Gunpla range to independent retailers across the UK, with orders being fulfilled from the 7th of April. So the Gundam train keeps on rolling, doesn't it? And growing and growing.
Absolutely.
So that will tie in with the ad that Free Model Centres actually put up for reference Gunpla then, and Bandai. Gotcha. I wondered why there was a plethora of adverts suddenly appearing. I just read the one on the Free Model Centre, and it was a case of, okay, that now makes sense.
There are those that say, why are they bothering with this stuff? People are not buying it. People seem to look into a bit of a bubble and don't think they quite realise how popular Gundam, Gunpla, Mecha, and even fantasy modelling is around the world. And I think overall, the turnout quarterly for the Gundam property will trump pretty much every scale model company that we have.
Absolutely.
Well, I heard a piece recently where they were talking about the quantity of models being produced from a set of molds. Tamiya will look at doing a production run of, say, 10 to 15,000 for the P38 or the F4 and 48 scale. For Bandai, doing a release of a new Gunpla, they're looking at a production first run of around about 100,000 per. And it's a case of, if people say that's not scale modelling and that's not the future, I beg to differ. If we can entice people, especially Shane's two youngsters, if they're coming into the hobby via that, absolutely great. Now, I know that IPMS have got 2 Gunpla traders going to Telford this year, which I believe is the first, because last time I think Jadlam were virtually the only Supams modelers or model shop that had a Gunpla range. He's now going to tell me off as the head of the Gunpla SIG.
Yeah, there's a few more, Brownie. Yeah, so obviously, Jadlam, who obviously put on the workshop as well, next to our Gundam SIG, which is brilliant. But yeah, there's a couple of independents as well. One of the guys, Stephen, travelled down all the way from Scotland. And then we had Samuel Deckel as well, who is from China. And he's come to Telford in the last few years. And for those that do have the opportunity to come to Telford, Samuel Deckel usually brings some really rare Bandai stuff, as well as some of the third-party items that you might struggle to get hold of unless you find the retailer that does like a massive pre-order, a bit like I've done with my Monument EX, for example. But yeah, I managed to pick up some really cool bits from them in Telford.
And don't forget that on the 11th of July at the Leicester Tigers Rugby Stadium here in the UK, there is the Gundam Mad show. So, which I believe it's in its 4th or 5th year. So Gundam now has its own show right here in the UK. We've got pop-up stores turning up in some of the cities as well. It's happening, people, whether you like it or not. It is happening. But the thing is, it's a gateway. It can be a gateway to continuing to building armor, to building whatever.
Good point about the Gundam stores, the pop-up stores, because that was the very last thing that I've actually spent my money on. We visited the London pop-up store down in Camden. We've been there a few times, right, over the last couple of months. I think it's only on till, I think it might be actually be the end of April. I'll have to confirm that. But every time we've gone in there, okay, and we've gone in there only a couple of days after, they have like limited edition stuff that comes in every month, okay? Every time we've gone in there, usually only a day or so after the release, they are completely sold out. So we've been able to pick up some bits, but like a little Gundam base Harrow, which myself and the boys got ourselves. But yeah, the Ultra, like Bandai or the Gundam base limited stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it flies off the shelf.
Well, when I left Telford, I stopped in the McDonald's nearby and grabbed something to eat before going home, and got talking to these 2 young lads, and they had 2 suitcases with them, and they travelled to the show. They'd bought as many Gundams as they could pack into these 2 suitcases, and they were taking them back down to their university, and I've got buyers for pretty much all of them. And he said, what we're selling these for has basically paid for our trip up here the day. And he said, we knew that Jadlam were going to be there. They knew that there were going to be those Gundam sellers that you mentioned, and they travelled to Telford specifically for Gundam stuff. Obviously, while they were there, which is why I'm saying it's the gateway, because they were then looking round at aircraft, at tanks, at ships, at figures, dioramas, you name it, all the stuff that we see there. So it's a fantastic gateway for a new generation. Don't keep saying younger generation, but a new generation of modelers, whether they're just returning or just starting out.
Totally accessible. And this is the thing. And for those that obviously listening to the stash inflation, some of it isn't mega money either. But I think the accessibility of it, like Brownie said, the volume, the pure volume that's coming out of these molds and the colours. I think I mentioned it on my interview back before, but the colours that come out of these things, incredible. And the third party stuff.
Yeah. I was just thinking some of those mad SMS paints tied in with a Gundam, the possibilities are endless. Brownie's just gonna
We have got Scott from the Scale Modeler Supply coming on very soon to help celebrate their 10th anniversary as an organisation.
Oh, great.
But they are also bringing out a dedicated range of Gunpla paint.
Are they really?
Yes, they are.
Wow.
Yes. It's a couple of months or so away, but they're bringing out their own range of SMS Gunpla paint.
Wow. Well, there you go.
You wait to see some of the pearlescent colours that are coming. I've seen a couple of snippets on the internet and they look incredible. So fair play to you guys over there because you're going to absolutely smash it. I can't wait.
We'll have to ask Scott about if he knows much about the process of painting a Gundam with SMS paints, because I know a lot of the Gundams are made of ABS style plastic, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, some, but I think with the post that they put up on the Gundam or the Mecha paint launch, yeah, they've got it on model kits. It looks amazing. This like the mirror finish as well. Looks, I mean, the metalwork's going to be really cool, especially in the Mecha scene with like boosters and the colours that you get with like blues, the purples, the reds.
I tell you what I like seeing, when people will do like a diorama of a fallen Gundam and it's got all the sort of green algae and vegetation growing around it. I think they're fantastic. Have you ever done anything like that, Shane?
So I've done more of a building background, urban background, demolished buildings and bits and bobs like that. But no, I do quite fancy trying, as you mentioned there, with the algae and the resin, like the water-based ones. Yeah, I do fancy giving one of them a go.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that using maybe a nice HG kit rather than a nice big, well, I say it's not nice, but a bigger, slightly more expensive model just to build your confidence up.
A smaller scale that allows you to then build more of a diorama or a landscape type scene around. Yeah, because the bigger you go, your diorama's then going to be absolutely huge, isn't it?
Yeah, but like Brownie was referring to there about the 35th scale, if you've got a model that's say 20 centimeters tall, 15, 20 centimeters tall, your diorama's probably going to be at least double that if you want it to be inset.
To give a perspective.
Martin's done some really cool stuff in the past as well.
Yeah, Martin Drayton, we're talking about, our friend. His composition is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He manages to get the composition and he'll keep adjusting it until it sort of looks right. And most of his dios and stuff, they look good from any angle.
Yes.
You can look around them all.
It's an art. Definitely an art.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, we will take a short break and we'll come back with a bit more What's on the Bench in a couple of seconds.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with a scale modeler in mind. We've worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be very easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
And there we go, a few words from Scott out in Australia. So, on my bench, I've got a big hole where the Musaru Cup was. Now, I talked about it a little bit in the last episode, and unsurprisingly, time did run away, but not through what I actually originally planned. Here comes the story of what happened to my entry for the competition, of which it did get entered, And thanks to the guys in Hamilton, they gave me just a little bit extra time because of a whole series of issues. But the best one was just before I finished, or after recording the show, that following weekend, I put a 2K clear coat onto the model, put it in the cupboard so the dust didn't get onto it, came to work in Wales, came back from work on the Friday evening, went to the model room and expecting to basically get it out and think, right, all I need to do on Saturday is take the pictures, job done. And it looked like I'd actually used Artex because the whole 2K had reacted to the paint and it looked absolutely awful. So at midday on deadline day, I was actually using VMS Clean Slate 2.0 acrylic paint stripper.
Oh, man.
Modelling is supposed to be an enjoyable, relaxing hobby. To say I was stressed is an understatement. First time of entering, didn't want to let the team down, and there I was looking at bare plastic. Nightmare. So VMS worked an absolute treat. Never used it before, so that was the first learning curve. Basically, put the stuff on, leave it for about a quarter of an hour, use a brush, agitate it, and basically wash it off with the cleaner. It will come off, then just wash it in water. And thanks to Boulder's tip, washed it down with isopropyl alcohol. Job done. Quick coat of primer, then the gloss black went down, then the pearlescent finish from SMS went down. So all the paints I used on this time were all going to be SMS. I had some of their super varnish that went down. To say it was time critical, bit of an understatement. So within an hour of actually putting the varnish down, the decals were going on, of which carbon fibre had to be used as part of the brief. So the bonnet and the roof. Did the roof decal want to go down? Did it? Insert rubber duck noise here. It just didn't want. I must have used almost a quarter of a bottle of Set and Sol on that damn decal before it finally sat down. Of course, when you want everything to go in a hurry, it was not happening. Anyway, using part of Boulder's technique with white decal film, which I already had, I'd actually made on the laser printer some custom decals, which for those that have seen the photographs on the Benchmates site, if you translate it, it actually does have a message on there. I shall leave the back window for you to actually decode yourself, but the front actually says Musaru Cup. But there's no R in that language, so it's actually replaced the R's with L's. But it's the principle that counts. Anyway, there was Moose 1 Quebec registration plates, front and back, and also the logo for the Canadian Warplane Heritage was on there as well, on the sun visor. And then I had to take the beauty shots, of which the better half went and got some of our LED light panels off the wall, put them down, changed the colours and tried to make it as Japanese, Tokyo-esque lighting effects to actually get there. So my journey into the hobby and the return has been somewhat protracted with a little bit of a pause. And the Musaru entry, when it was finished, to say it was a little bit of a relief is an understatement, but that's the first model I have finished in 30 years.
Well done for rescuing it and seeing it through.
30-year gap, and that was my finish. And it was a case of, oh my... So, got there in the end, but yes.
You got there in the end. So, as an actual kit to build...
Yes.
Was it a good kit to build? Was it easy or very hard, or was it?
The thing I struggled with and hadn't actually appreciated fully was not all the plastic in the kit was bog standard injection molded plastic. Some of it was a mixture of different types of plastic. It was a case of, okay, hadn't taken that into account. And the actual technique for building a car is completely different. But I've built a car. And unless it's a Formula One in the future, that's the last car I should be building as well. I am sticking to aircraft. That is my subject. I am not going to diverge even. Yeah, it was an experience, and thanks to IPMS Hamilton for allowing us to actually A, participate, and B, allowing me a little bit of extra time to actually get this over, because there was a couple of other circumstances which, unfortunately, due to what actually happened, I can't actually mention on the pod, but they gave me an extra couple of days, but I took an extra 4 hours or 5 hours, and I actually got it across the line. They had the photographs, so apologies to the other shows, but they did actually give me that little bit of leniency. But it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
I look forward to it when it is my go again in the future, but
No more cars.
I didn't mention any of this into the covering letter, that obviously, as it was my first finish in 30 years, because I didn't want to sway any potential votes, because the results come out this Sunday and I've got more chance of a snowball fight in hell of winning, but it was the taking part.
Absolutely.
But the good news is I'm going to announce who's building the next entry. And we will actually record it live, so the box will still be sealed when they get it. But out of the team, well done, Dan.
Oh, no.
It's going to be you.
Well done, Dan.
Okay. All right.
So,
Thanks very much.
Mooseroo, entry 2, if assuming we actually get invited back again, it's going to be your good self.
So I've just been thrown in the deep end
Absolutely.
with no armbands on and no shorts either. So thanks for that.
Anytime.
And a full gallery of people watching me. So yeah, really looking forward to that one. No. Right. Okay. So just remind me of the timeline.
You have to open it on a set date at a set time.
Set date and time. And I've no idea. But it's not going to be. See, I reckon I could have had a go at a car.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a car.
I'm worried now. So what have they done?
On the live feed, the reason they chose a car is because they knew that Mr. Goldfinch in Australia hated the idea of actually a car build model at any time. And it was because of that they chose a car and we all got stitched up. So it's his fault. So he owes everyone a beer, minimum.
Yeah. There's not much that I would not buy and build. There maybe are a couple of things.
Unless it's a Corsair.
Well, yeah, that's not what you mean, not a proper Corsair.
Not a proper Corsair, yeah, the other one, yeah.
No, the Tribute Act. Yeah, no. Yeah, that, oh God, yeah, no, not one of those, please. No, not one of those.
Oh, yes, Slough. There we go. There's the gauntlet is thrown down. A7 Corsair, thank you very much.
No, thanks. It's not my bag. A jet. Oh, it's not going to be a jet, is it? I can't do jets.
That's the wrong thing to say.
Oh, no. I do Pratt and Whitneys and double wasps and
Well, they haven't done a jet yet.
all that jazz.
Well, Pratt and Whitney's do jets.
Well, yeah, I know, but I do, piston engine aircraft. I don't really.
You realise you've now just given them the idea, don't you?
We went fishing and you hooked.
I'm not saying it. I'm not going to say any more. No, I'm not saying any more.
Oh, dear.
Thanks for that. Yeah, look forward to that one. Cheers. Thank you. No, it's all good fun. I don't mind. I'll take one. I'll take it on.
Well done, Dan.
Well volunteered there.
Yeah, voluntold. Voluntold, more like.
Correct.
But well done for your first finish, Brownie.
Anyway,
I think that's the buck has just been passed, hasn't it?
completely, totally and utterly. The other thing we have here is we have a piece of listener mail.
Oh.
From Joseph Bridges, who says, listen to the latest show. Brilliant as always. I don't know what show you were listening to, but anyway.
It was a good start. No, it's a good start. We like that. A good start, yeah.
Yes, good start. Like that. Solid. Listened to the latest episode. Brilliant as always. Another well-balanced mixed. Very much the best podcast on model making. I shan't argue with that one. Hits the spot. Great team and very informative. We live in golden times. New kits weekly and stash grows accordingly. I find it impossible to go into a model shop without one or two kits following me home. Keep up the good work. Well, thanks for that, mate. And if you want to actually contact the show and actually get an email read out, just drop us a line at info@beyondtheboxart.com.
And please join the Benchmates page and share your builds, Jeff. Share with the community.
Absolutely. And if you want to get hold of any of us in the show, my email is brownie@beyondtheboxart.com. Dan's, this is difficult, is Dan at beyondtheboxart.com, and Shane, I think we can work it out, but Boulders and Nevs, they're the same. Just drop us an email and we can actually again respond to you directly or bring and read it out on the show accordingly. So now we've covered what the Benchmates have been working on for the 48 in 48. We're joined by the man, the oracle, the legend himself, Mr. James Skiffins. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
Hello, you all right?
I'm not too bad. Have you recovered?
No, not at all.
How long does it normally take to recover after the event?
Oh, well, I believe I should be fine by about the 19th of March 2027.
Perfect.
Which just so happens to coincide with next year's dates.
Right. So that's Friday the 19th?
It is, yeah. Friday. Starting at what time do you think?
I'm guessing 7:30 p.m.
In whichever time zone you're in, you're correct.
And I'm probably going to be missing in action for part of that weekend.
Okay.
Well, it is my birthday.
I can't think of a better way of celebrating it, to be honest, amongst friends and the community. But, you know.
Oh, friends in the community, yes. But spending time with you? Anyway, moving on swiftly. So, how did the event go for you?
It was an absolute disaster, all in all. No, of course it wasn't. It was a fantastic weekend, as usual. Lots of hype, everybody buzzing, lots of messages of congratulations and other stuff like that for days on end. I've already had 6 messages as to when's the next one. Can we do it again? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. Normal, in fairness. But yeah, it's been an overwhelmingly successful weekend. I'm pleased, very pleased with how everything went.
So what were the highlights for you, other than the end?
The highlight? Well, I think really that this year was a triumph. For me personally, it was a triumph in the fact that I had no technology that would work with me. And I managed to get through the whole weekend. So that's one of my triumphs, if you like. I wouldn't say it's my highlight. It's definitely a triumph. No, my highlight really was the stats. Just looking at the stats as we were going along. You know, we had the highest amount of participants registered on the website, the highest number of views in most areas on all episodes. I mean, overall, the numbers are phenomenal. But during the actual broadcast, they were very high, which is very nice to see. A lot more participation going on with the Australian zone. Oh, what else? The thought that an office in Korea had been taken over by the 48 and 48, that was quite exciting. It was one person watching, but he was making all his staff watch, which was quite cool. I thought was quite clever. So yeah, there was lots of things. But I think overwhelmingly for me, it has always astounded me every year is the reach, is the way the community interacts and just how widespread it is. So that is always my highlight.
It is the only worldwide global event for the hobby, isn't it?
It is, yeah. What an awesome weight that is to carry. But yes, you're right, it is.
And of course, next year we'll be celebrating its 10th anniversary.
It will. And you'll be surprised to know that I have already been planning such things for the event 2 months ago. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be bigger and bolder, as always.
You can't get much bolder, can you?
Oh yeah, we can. I've had an ambition for several years, which some people know, some people won't. And if I can try and, I'm not going to say what that is, by the way. I'm not going to give it away yet. But if I could try and pull that off for the 10th anniversary, that would be quite amazing. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, a few hours ago, I was talking to a gentleman about said project, and that opened up a whole different avenue to where I was already. So yeah, the next couple of months are going to take an awful lot of planning and begging and contacts and all that sort of thing to see what we can achieve for next year. And then the planning will start in earnest, probably June.
Okay. So you can take our participation and any assistance we can give you guys as read. We will be there to support you. Auctions, lots of them worldwide. How did we do?
So auctions done very, very well. The Australian auction, for example, was an out-and-out success. Historically, we've not had a lot of viewers in that area. We found it hard to promote. The partnerships that we've developed over the 9 years, most of them are still with us, but we've brought on an awful lot more this year. A couple have dropped out, unfortunately, but now these things happen. Business is business, and it's a difficult thing to ask businesses to do. But again, another highlight, if you like, was that the green shoots of something in Australia are going to be starting very, very soon that's very similar to Models for Heroes. And the industry wholesale industry around that and their willingness to be involved already before it's even got off the ground is tremendous. That's a massive boost. Auctions in the UK, highest number of lots we've ever done. Will we repeat that? I don't think so. It was an awful lot, a lot to manage and a lot to post out, and apologies in the fact that it's taken me days, literally days, to get on top of stuff and get stuff out. And I'm already aware that in my usual abilities, I've managed to post a couple of things to the wrong people already. So yeah, it's all but a bit of a surprise and a bit of fun really for everybody. As long as I've not sent the laundry to them, I'd be fine. I mean, obviously the team in America have been amazing, and they asked me before it started what was my goal, and I said just talk 24 hours to talk about the hobby, talk about mental health and models for heroes and the importance of well-being and all that sort of stuff was the main goal. But they wanted a financial figure, which I gave them, and they achieved that. So that's phenomenal as usual. They're very good with that sort of thing. And obviously the auctions and the sniping and the camaraderie within the sniping is always incredibly entertaining to watch and be a part of. One of this year's highlights from the auction is the fact that we've got an amazing offer in Australia where we've got the Podfather himself signing posters in an outfit.
I've seen the photograph. He's mentioned it in his latest episode, and I'm actually placing an order for some mind bleach.
Yes, it's probably mind bleach is possibly the best move, I would say. But yeah, it just astounds me really what everybody's willing to put up with. I'm known for being a bit of a tease and a bit of a monkey in that respect. So good humour with Dave. I still think he's talking to me as far as I know, although he has said he's been away quite a lot. But maybe he's just answering my calls. I don't know.
Fair enough. With the lots, we actually donated for a lot for each of the three locations, the Oceania, the American, and obviously the UK auction. And in Australia, we've got John Marley that's going to be joining us from Down Under. From the United States, we have Michael Bullock from Patriot Models, who'll be on the show. And from the UK, Wayne Stiller. So 3 fantastic co-hosts shall be having join us. So how much did we make?
I think we got over the shilling, if I'm honest. So yeah, you did well with the 3 lots. And I know you've got the figure.
I believe we generated around about £400 in total, of which the Americans, next year you're going to have to try much harder because the UK wiped the floor with the bid. And so how much did the UK slot on the show generate?
£200. Your slot did for the UK. Mr. Wayne dropped a £200 note on the desk and said, it's mine and I'm having it.
£200 from Mr. Stiller. Thank you very much for that. And what was the most expensive lot that you actually sold over the weekend?
Well, it was a signed onesie from Malcolm. Was very close to the highest bid, but yeah, it was the bid from Wayne that was the highest overall. So well done to him.
Yeah. We should give him much kudos when he comes on the show. So in total, have you managed to get the old abacus working to find out what the total figure is yet?
Well, to be honest, I've had to hire in people for their toes and fingers because I've run out of toes and fingers. It's a lot going on. The answer is no. I haven't got a final figure. I can tell you that we are less than last year overall, which sounds negative, but it's not. I think we're somewhere between 14 and 15,000. And the reason I think that is because we've got a few bits and pieces still to come in and not necessarily to do with the obvious. So obviously the merchandise, we've got to make sure we've got everything for that in, the patches, etc. That's all gone in. I know that's done. I've done that myself and they've all gone out, possibly to the right people. I don't know, but they've definitely gone out to somebody. And yeah, there's a few other bits and pieces coming in. There's a couple of promises as well from people that businesses actually that said they were going to donate a few bits and pieces, and they generally take a little bit while to come in, those ones. So yeah, we did less than we did last year. We didn't hit the target that we had on Just Giving, but let's be honest, whenever I do that target, it is very much a case of a wet finger in the air, don't quite know what we're going to do, and it was a guess. So in comparison, and this is the key bit, in comparison to last year, we've beaten last year's take. Sounds a bit weird, because it's less than last year. But the reason for that is we had a very large amount of money dropped right at the end from a donation that got nothing to do with the weekend. So that took us over the 16,000 mark.
Gotcha.
If you take away that donation from the figure, we beat it by a few pounds here and there. Not a lot, but we bit it a little bit.
Well, when you think about the situation we're in at the moment, to get even close to what you had last year is an achievement in itself.
Oh God, yeah, no, and that's the. See, this was the conversation I had with Malcolm. Because Malcolm always says to me every year, the same conversation of £1 is the goal. £1 more than what we had is always a bonus. So, whatever, it's great. And with the current situation and obviously the things that have brewed up more recently and, the possible impact that's coming around the corner to us globally and all that sort of stuff, it's phenomenal that we've achieved that sort of money. And I don't mind admitting it. When I had the conversation with several people about what should I put the figure on the Just Giving page, I don't know. Yeah, it was difficult to try and guess because every year, generally, we doubled what we took the year before. Mm-hmm. But using that analogy, that means we would have been up near 30 something thousand pounds. I'm just like, no way, we're ever going to get close to that. So that's crazy. Don't do that. So maybe we've reached the glass ceiling. Maybe we've reached that point where this is the sort of money we can achieve on a general basis, which I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, it's more than £1, so that's good.
Yeah.
The more important part is the conversation, is the advertising, if you like, of the benefits of model making, the community spirit, the amount of people that are getting involved, the fact the industry is coming to us and saying we want to be a part of that. Can we be a part of it? Those are all the milestones that are much more important than the dollars and pounds and cents that we make, really.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that as for the last few years that the message gets out there to the people that need it more. Mm-hmm. So the more people that will then interact with Models for Heroes, or indeed, I say ours, not ours. So the fledglings that are potentially going in different areas, that's much, much more important than the dollars and pounds. So we, as always, reach or go past milestones. And I think this year we've certainly gone through many of those this year. That's the more important part, really.
Fair enough. And as you say, you've obviously got the other two organisations coming on stream sometime in the next year. So by the time of the 48 next year, it may be a slightly different looking event?
No, I don't think it will be much different in that we will still raise the money for Models for Heroes. We have to be careful in that Malcolm and Models for Heroes can't multiply the charity or charitable organisation in other countries because it's really complicated to do all that sort of stuff and very difficult to manage. But if we can, and as I've always said throughout all the events, is if we can create a conversation sufficiently enough for someone to go, do you know what, that's a really good idea. Why can't we do that in our country? And they start their thing up, then of course we'll support them. No matter where they are in the world, we'll support them somehow, some way. Will we get to a situation where the conversation is a group of charitable organisations which we fundraise? I don't know. Until we get to that point, I really don't know. But certainly, hopefully next year, what I hope we'll be managing next year is we'll be managing to at least announce in an official capacity in a global way that these people are the spearhead of their organisations in their zones, which would be phenomenal. And that's a massive achievement and a testament to the people that have got involved in this event. It's not us. It's not the 48. It's not the model officers mess. It's not me, or it's us, the community, that have managed to achieve that, which is very special.
I quite agree. Well, James, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you'll be recovered a little bit earlier than the end of next year, but we look forward to getting updates. And where you really dropped the ball this year was in two places. One, lack of hobnobs. Didn't hear or see them mentioned once.
No, I was busy eating them.
Well, fair enough. And also, on the merch side, that shower curtain with Malcolm, that would have just covered so many things.
Oh, it definitely would have covered an awful lot of things. And unfortunately, we've got a cease and desist order on that because of most manufacturers have seen the image. So I think we're going to struggle. Although I do have a Chinese contact who's potentially willing.
With that, I think that's a very good place to draw a veil on the conversation. James, thanks for your time. Well done to not only yourself, but obviously the co-hosts and everyone else. Steph, with his voice disappearing at the end of the weekend. Bless him. And we will speak to you again in the future.
Yeah, a massive thank you to you guys for putting up the lots. A massive thank you for everyone that took part. And I look forward to next year. The website's up and running, 48-48.org. Watch out for the news bulletins, which will be dropping monthly on the run-up. And there's hopefully going to be some big stories. So Stay tuned.
Fantastic. And obviously, don't forget to actually come back on and let us know the updates as and when you get them.
Oh, I will do.
Okay, my friend, speak to you soon.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers.
Beyond the Box Art is brought to you by Ammo by Mig Jimenez, Fishcom Model Company, Guideline Publications, Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, and the Scale Modelers Supply. Here comes the Stash Inflation Report, separating genuine must-haves from, well, it was on pre-order anyway.
Right then, Benchmates, settle in, clear a bit of space on the bench, and more importantly, clear a bit of space in the stash, because it's that time once again for the Stash Inflation Report. This is the part of the show where wallets tremble, shelves start to sag, slightly under the strain, and we all collectively pretend we've got the perfect reasonable plan for where the next kit is going to go. Across aviation, armour, naval and everything in between, manufacturers have clearly decided that restraint is overrated. Because what we've got this month is a proper surge of new releases, reboxes, and the sort of kits that make you say, I wasn't going to buy anything but. And we're kicking things off where speed, noise, and occasionally questionable landing decisions live. Yes, it's aviation. So clearly not interested in easing the pressure on your wallets this year, kicking things off with something properly cutting edge, a 1/72 scale Chinese Air Force J-36. A 6th generation combat aircraft that still feels like it's arrived 10 minutes into the future. They're doubling down on modern jets too, with a rather tasty 2-in-1 boxing of the Pakistan Air Force J-10CE alongside an Indian Air Force Rafale, because nothing says peaceful bench sessions like a bit of geopolitical tension in 1/72 scale. Then just in case you fancied something a bit more with presence, how about a 1/24 scale Republic P-47D Thunderbolt Razorback? Big, brutish and absolutely unapologetic. This one is going to dominate both your bench and possibly your living arrangements. And rounding out Trumpeter's offering, we've got a 1/35 Kamov KA-52 Alligator, twin rotors, aggressive lines, and enough present to make your display shelf nervous before you've even opened the box. Now, if you prefer your aviation with a bit more history and, let's be honest, a bit more soul, Supermarine Spitfire Mark 1A fans are in for an absolute treat. Qatari are bringing us a 32nd scale late production Battle of Britain Spitfire Mark 1A. And this one is very much aimed at those who like the detail as crisp as September 1940 morning over Kent. Over 130 parts, a 35cm wingspan, beautifully captured cockpit options, Sutton harness detail, and multiple radio fits depending on your chosen aircraft. Decal options include some of the with proper history too, names like Richard Hillary and George Unwin. So you're not just building a model here, you're building a story. Moving into the jet age again, Models Fit are delivering a seriously well-equipped 72nd scale Dassault Mirage 2000N, complete with ASMP nuclear standoff missile, a full suite of stores, photo-etched masks and cartograph decals, basically everything short of a hardened shelter to be put in. Armour Hobby are going a bit more nimble with a brand new tool 72nd scale Hajima Ki-43 Hayabusa, featuring combat markings from Burma and China. Perfect if you fancy something elegant but deadly on the bench. Hobby 2000 are back with a strong set of reboxes too. The 1/48 scale Bell P-39 Aerocobra, variants for both Eastern Front and the United States Army Air Force, plus the ever-popular MiG-29 and MiG-29UB in Central European markings. And finally, Sabre kits are going full interwar enthusiast with a range of beautiful niche 1/48 scale subjects, the Avia BH-33 variants, the PWS-A Polish fighter, and even the wooden Avia B-33. All new tools, all featuring 3D printed engines and absolute dripping with character. So whether you're into cutting edge prototypes, Battle of Britain legends, or slightly obscure pre-war gems, aviation has well and truly delivered this month. And once we've finished here, we'll be heading firmly onto the ground where things get heavier, muddier, and considerably more expensive. Dan's standing by with the armour. Thanks, builders. And I tell you what, if you've been up there in the skies, I've been firmly down at ground level because there's some cracking bits landing in the stash this month. Let's kick off with something I and many other heavy bomber builders have wanted for a long time, and it's a welcome addition for the diorama builders out there too. We've got the 148 M2 Cletrac high-speed tractor from Squadron Models, and this one's coming through as a fully 3D printed release. Now, if you're not familiar with the Cletrac, this is one of those unsung heroes of World War II, used as an artillery tractor hauling heavy guns across terrain where wheels simply wouldn't cut it. They were also very common on US Air Force Bomber Group airfields for manoeuvring aircraft around. At 148 scale, it's a brilliant gap filler as well. Not overly large, but absolutely packed with character. Perfect for airfield scenes, artillery setups, or just adding a bit of life behind your armoured builds. Retailing around the mid-30s in pounds, it's really accessible way into something a bit different. And frankly, we need more of these support vehicles on the bench. Now, sticking with the theme of bringing scenes to life, PLA Editions are stepping into the figure world with their new Diorama Mag figures range. And this is where things get quite interesting. They've launched with two 1/35th scale US soldiers, both wearing the classic M51 fishtail parka. So immediately you're into that Cold War, post-war, and even modern crossover territory. These aren't your standard hero pose figures either. These are proper storytelling pieces. The first figure is posed loading cargo, hands forward, mid-action, exactly the sort of subtle movement that makes a diorama feel real rather than staged. The second complements it perfectly, captured in the act of opening a door. Again, very natural, very human. Both are digitally sculpted and 3D printed, and crucially, each comes with 3 different head options. That gives you flexibility straight out of the box. Helmeted, bare head, different looks, so you can avoid that cloned figure syndrome we've all fallen for at some point. At around €17 each, they're not going to break the bank either, and honestly, this feels like a really strong move towards more narrative-driven modelling, which is where the hobby seems to be heading. Now, if you fancy something with a bit more historical weight behind it, Scale 75 have gone big, quite literally, with their 75mm Battle of Culloden 1746 Highlander. This isn't just a figure, it's a statement piece. Claymore in hand, tartan flowing, full of tension and movement. Sculpted by Raoul Latour and painted by Samuel Figueres. It's one of those kits that sits right on the line between modelling and art. You're not just building a figure here, you're capturing a moment in history. It's got presence, it's got drama, and it's absolutely aimed at those who enjoy pushing their painting skills to the next level. And finally, for those who like their history a little earlier and a little taller, Mitch's Military Models have released an Agincourt Longbowman of 1415. Now this one comes in 2 scales, 120mm and a rather imposing 200mm. This is beautifully sculpted by Nello Rivecchio. The English longbowman is one of those iconic figures of military history, and this kit really leans into that. Stance, posture, equipment, it's all about capturing that moment before the arrow flies. At £45 for the 120mm and £85 for the 200mm, it's very much in that premium figure bracket, but again, these are display pieces. These are the ones you take your time over, you really invest in, and end up with something quite special on the shelf. So whether it's support vehicles, storytelling figures, or full-on historical centerpieces, there's plenty landing in the stash to keep the bench busy. And on that note, I'm off to wander off and see if I can find somewhere to park that Cletrac. Nevs, are you still loitering around those dock gates, mate, or have they moved you on yet? Hiya, Benchmates!
Here's Dan, always reassuring to know that armour stash is getting heavier and muddier. Now, I've taken a wander down to the dock gate, pure in the interest of journalistic integrity, of course, to see what's quietly sliding into berth this month. And there's quite a bit worth tying up space on your shelves for. First up, Aoshima are revisiting familiar waters with 1-700 scale Japanese heavy cruisers Maya and Takao. Now, a word of warning.
this tooling dates back to 2001, so we're not talking cutting edge straight out of the dry dock. But this is the first full hull release of the Takao class from Aoshima in 18 years. Yes, 18 years. And there are new parts being brought in to sharpen things up. So for Imperial Japanese Navy fans, these are very much ones to keep on the radar, especially if you've been waiting for a solid full hull option to challenge what's already out there. Staying with Japanese subjects, but moving into something a little more niche, and arguably a bit more interesting for diorama builders, Polish outfit EMP3D are releasing a range of 3D printed kits, including the Daihatsu landing craft, in both ramp up and ramp down configurations. They're also bringing out the rather sinister Shinyo Suicide motorboat, available with or without its stern-mounted rocket launchers, which tells you everything you need to know about how those missions were expected to end. Because these are 3D printed, they're covering a wide range of scales, from 1 to 87 right through to 1 to 43, and including the ever-popular 1 to 48, 1 to 56, and 1 to 72. So if you're building Pacific theatre scenes, these could be absolute gold dust for adding context and storytelling. Now, back to something a bit more substantial. Trumpeter are updating their 2009 tooling of the HMS Repulse to give us a 1 to 350th HMS Renown. Out of the Renown class pair, she was the one that saw the most extensive upgrades and, crucially, made it through the war, unlike her sister HMS Repulse. And in a rather fitting parallel, this kit is essentially doing the same thing, taking an older base and refining it with newer parts. For Royal Navy builders, this is shaping up to be a really appealing option. And finally, something a little left field, Tacom are releasing a 1 to 350th Moskva class helicopter cruiser. Now, just to be clear, this isn't the Moskva that met its end in 2022, but the earlier Soviet-era helicopter cruisers from the late 60s through to the collapse of the USSR. Only 2 were ever completed, Moskva and Leningrad, but they could carry up to 18 Kamov helicopters, which gives you an idea of the scale and intent behind these ships. The kit itself looks well pointed too. A full hull, a mixture of injection moulded parts, and what appears to be a 3D printed lower hull, photo etch railings, radar arrays, and multiple helicopter options included. And if you're that way inclined, there's always the option for a what-if build of one of the 9 unbuilt sisters, had the programme gone the distance. So plenty arriving in harbour this month, whether you're into big gun capital ships, Cold War oddities, or the smaller, more story-driven subjects that really bring a diorama to life. Right, I'm going to leave the dock gates open and head back up the slipway. Shane, whatever you've got cooking over there, I suspect it involves significantly more joints, decals, and probably a small instruction manual just for the head. Over to you.
Thanks, Nevs. I'll take it from here, mate. Right then, into the world of Gundam, sci-fi, and things that absolutely do not obey to the laws of aerodynamics. But we love them anyway. Kicking us off, from Bandai, under their Tamashii Nations line, we've got the Robot Damashii, FXA 05A G Defensor. Landing in September at around 50 quid, this one is designed to dock up with RX 178 and form the Super Gundam. You've got full detachment capability here too, so it works as a standalone unit, and comes packing with that signature long rifle. Very much one for the display cabinet if you're building out of your Zeta era lineup. Now, if you fancy something with a bit more presence on the bench, well, Mecha Core Industry have got us covered with their 1/100 Oberon version 2.0. It's frankly massive. 23 centimeters tall with a wingspan pushing 52 centimeters. This thing is all about presence. You're getting a redesigned head and chest, beautifully done gold pre-painted parts, and a display base that lets you pose those floating cannons around side decals and optional pre-painted runners round it out. And at about £50 with an immediate release, it's a lot of plastic and a lot of shelf for your money. Switching gears slightly into the Machine and Krieger inspired territory, Wave Corporation are bringing us the 1/20th scale SK 362 RNN Panzer Sparwagen Sturmvogel, and it lands this April. At around 24 centimeters long, this variant swaps out the Ninja head instead of that nose spotter unit. It comes armed with a rocket launcher plus a field modification kit that features 4 additional tracking and homing rockets. The price is still to be confirmed, but expect it to sit in that premium sci-fi kit bracket. Now, for those of you who like sci-fi a bit more, well, gothic, here are fresh armoured reinforcements coming from the universe of Warhammer 40k. Announced at Adepticon in late March, there is a range of new releases on the horizon. Details are still emerging, and prices will vary depending on just how much plastic you're willing to pledge allegiance to. But safe to say, your wallet has been warned. Back to high-end mecha, and our treasure, 1144 Magna Palace, the Knight of Gold, is a proper statement piece. 23 centimeters tall, with a detachable passenger cell integrated into the head unit, and that unmistakable buster launcher included. This one leans more towards traditional modelling too, so glue is required with this one. It's not your typical snap together build. Due in August at around £85, and very much aimed at the experienced builder who wants something a bit special on the bench. For something a little more light-hearted, but no less detailed, Hasegawa are bringing us 135th Mechatro We Go number 15. So 2 kits in a box, each about 7.5 centimeters tall, with coloured main suits, and figures that will need a little bit of painting. 162 parts in total, highly posable, landing in May for about £25. It's a cracking little project, and a nice palette cleanser between those larger builds. And finally, from Bandai again, the HG 1/1/4 scale Gundam Hathaway, this one from Witch Cirques, and arrives this April at around £35. This one features new moulds, including a battle damage shield with some really nice colour separation, a refined beam rifle setup, and updated hands. It retains the full transform capability between the mobile suit and the flight mode. It comes with complete the saber, rifle, shield, and a refreshed display base. Plenty to get stuck into straight out of the box. And that is your lot. From aircraft to armour, ships to sci-fi, whether it floats, flies, rolls, or quite frankly shouldn't exist at all. That's everything that's been quietly emptying your wallet this episode. Now then, before Nev starts tying up somewhere he shouldn't, let's crack on with a few words from our fine sponsors and return with our featured interview with Eduard.
Now, it's time for the Guideline Publications news for SAM and MMI and others in the portfolio with what's coming up in the May magazines.
Hey guys, this is Rob Riviezzo, Assistant U.S. Editor for Military Modelcraft International, filling in for that John guy who's away on holiday or vacation, or whatever you guys say on this side of the pond. But I am pleased to say that the May issues of the Guideline magazine range is jam-packed with great models and articles. We first start off with scale aircraft modeling, which has a usual mix of scales and subjects coming up in the May issue. Articles include Rodin's 1/32nd scale Sopwith with 1/2 Strutter 2-seater, the ICM 148 scale Douglas B-26K Counter Invader, Eduard's S-199 hybrid kit, and there is more on this coming up in this episode with the feature interview coming up with Eduard. Plus a rather magnificent Tamiya F-35C Lightning II by John Bryan, both again in 1/48. The larger scale continues with Planet Hughes H1 Long Wind Racer and a Trumpeter Yak 28 PP by Mario Cyril. And in 1/72nd scale we have a Spitfire, plus a couple of interesting conversions in the shape of a Beaufighter Mark II late type conversion using both CMK and Airfix items. And a beautiful Savoy Marchetti S73 by Steve DiNucci based on the Supermodel S81. Aircraft in Profile covers the Sabile SI 204, the Aero C3A, and the SNCAC Martinet. Paul Lucas's regular color conundrum offers part 2 of the RAF Day Fighter Schemes 1941 to 1943 revisited. And to finish off this issue, it includes the annual Royal International Air Tattoo Show preview from Mike Verrier in the run-up to this year's event, assuming it isn't canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Okay, moving on to the magazine I contribute to, Military Modelcraft International. So our cover story this month is a superb Eastern Front diorama featuring a Tiger I from my good friend John Steinman. I taught him everything he knows. World War II fans will be delighted to see Fernando Granell's build of 2 Attack Hobby small-scale Marmon Harrington armored cars, while Marek Zindulka is back with a build of Trumpeter's small-scale KV-2. Quarter-scale models aren't left behind either, with Domingo Hernandez, who presents an unusual converted German Panzerjäger from KM Models. For fans of modern armor, we have an armor and profile feature on the Flak Panzer Gepard. And complementing that, we have Ramon Segura, who shows what's possible with Heller's old Gepard kit. We also look at 2 very different new kits. Chris Johnson builds 4-Art's superb new HIMARS in Ukrainian service, while our editor, Dave Grummett, gives a very frank verdict on Trumpeter's new Challenger 1. It's about time, Dave, that you build a model. Finally, in our At the Bench feature, we look back at the history of MMI with our longest-standing contributor, UK modeler Paul Bennett. The railway magazines will be full of trains, but John was probably on his 3rd bottle of red wine by this point when he wrote this. Details are a little sparse, unlike the mag's content. But Guideline are very excited about Warpaint number 153, which is under design as we speak, which is on the Hanley Page 0400 World War I bomber and associated types. This is shaping up with an interesting text and 120 or so photos, including enough vintage close-ups for a small walk-around section, which for a much underdocumented aircraft, I for one look forward to reading about. Normal service will be resumed next month if John can pour himself away from the bench. As for me, I am joining the boys for the next episode for a chat on modeling, so I will catch you in a fortnight.
It's time for the IPMS Dispatches, your regular spotlight on events, branches and SIGs.
Right then, time for another delve into the grassroots of the hobby with another IPMS branch deep dive. This time we're heading up to the northeast of the UK to spend some time with a cracking group of modelers who prove that this hobby is as much about people as it is plastic. I'm joined by Dave and Chris Norman from IPMS Cleveland. Gentlemen, hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bryony.
Hello. Let's start off with a nice, easy question to begin with. So, where and when do you meet with the branch, and what's the atmosphere like on a typical club night? And I'm guessing alcohol is obviously involved.
Well, definitely alcohol is involved towards the end of the meeting or after the meeting. We meet at the Gisborough Cricket Club upstairs in the room they have up there. We are on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of each month at 7:30 to 9:30. And then, as you hinted, at 9:30 we head off towards the bar next door and continue the meeting there.
Bar next door? That was bad planning.
I would say the atmosphere.
What's the postcode for the venue?
Okay, the postcode is Tango Sierra 147 Delta Quebec.
Fair enough. So what's your geographic spread of members for the branch then?
Do you know much about the Northeast or this side of the Pennines?
I know a little bit, but our audience, obviously, we're now in 80 countries worldwide, so roughly distance-wise?
Okay, mostly our members are in Middlesbrough, Stockton area, which is, I would say, about 10 to 15 miles away. We ourselves live in Northallerton. We've probably got about half a dozen members in Northallerton. That's about 40 minutes drive away from the meeting place. Our most southerly member lives in Thirsk, which is a little bit further south than us. Our most easterly member lives in Catwick, near the garrison, and our most northerly member now lives in South Shields because he decided to move up there.
Well, that's his fault.
But I have to say, our furthest actually lives in UAE.
Right, okay, that's a bit of a commute to go for a pint.
It's a bit of a commute, and we don't see him that often, I must admit. Not only does he live in UAE, he's actually Mexican.
Right, that makes perfect sense.
It makes absolute perfect sense. He is married to a lady from the area, so he comes home occasionally. And like I say, he's from Mexico originally, currently lives and works in the UAE, and we see him every once in a while in Middlesbrough, which is really strange.
You said it, not me. I'm not going to get in trouble for that one. Okay, so roughly how many of you turn up on an average evening, and what's the mix like? Is it a small core group, or does it vary sort of month to month? And what's your age spread like of the members?
Did you ask that one? Because we did have a little look on the spreadsheet earlier on. So our age spread, a majority of our members are over 50. I'll have to say that. We've got, I think, 3 that are below 50. The rest of our members are over 50. We've currently got about 46 members. Meeting-wise, we're generally in the 20s for meetings. A good meeting would be high 20s. A bad meeting would be low 20s, apart from last night when we were actually in the teens, which is really unusual, and we very rarely get up into the 30s. I would say we've got a core of members that come to most meetings, and then we have some that make it when they can due to work or life commitments, shall we say.
Yeah, true. It's a shame when life gets in the way of the hobby, but hey-ho, has to happen.
It is, and work is a terrible thing as well. I find the best thing to do is just get rid of work and not bother with it.
Yeah, well, at the moment, Chris is thinking the same, I believe.
Well, I don't think he's...
Thinking to get back into
I think he'd
work.
like to get back into work.
So if anyone needs a web developer, just contact the branch and have a word with Chris.
And if you want an advertisement, please have a look at our website.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's wind the clock back a bit. When was the branch formed, and how has it evolved over the years into what it is today?
Branch was formed back in 1994, back in the old days, pre-internet. Some of us remember that. That was from an advertisement in the IPMS magazine, and we've steadily grown from there. I think maybe 4 or 5 members to begin with, and then you start to add a few more members. We've moved around various meeting places before we eventually ended up at the Gisborough Cricket Club. I kind of had a 10-year hiatus, being in the RAF, as they do. They tend to post you around to various places in the country.
Very inconsiderate.
So I ended up leaving the club. Yes, it is a little bit inconsiderate. I ended up leaving the club, went down to Oxfordshire, to Benson. I joined IPMS Abingdon while I was down there. Then went up to Coningsby and joined another club there, the South Lincolnshire Modelers. And then by chance, I got posted back to this area. So I rejoined the club. And then I took over about a year later. We've steadily increased from when I took over. We had about 22 members when I took over. And then we've kind of increased our online presence, which I think was a good move to go. And we've added a lot more members since then. And we got up to over 50 at one point, but we've steadily dropped back down, I think, again, as the people move on or they don't want to be bothered with the club. Like I say, we're currently at 46 members, which is quite healthy.
That's not bad.
We kind of recruited a lot of people around about COVID and post-COVID, which was really strange. When you couldn't get out and about to meetings and shows, we seemed to actually recruit more members.
Is it a case that people were actually looking online for something to do and then actually discovered you that way?
I think it was a case of people not being able to go to work or go out, so then maybe revisited the hobby and then, like you say, looked online, found us, and they ended up joining the club.
Okay, so during the pandemic, were you actually doing virtual meetings?
Yeah, we were doing those for a while. They were quite challenging for some people, considering the age demographic. Yeah, not so many people joined on that. Quite a few did. We did it for a while, and then it kind of faded off. Yeah. We were also doing other things online. We were doing quizzes and things like that, just to chivvy people along.
Fair enough. Okay then, so in terms of what's on the tables, what sort of subjects do you tend to see at the branch meetings? Is it mostly military, or do you get a real mix of genres?
Yeah, it's definitely mostly military, as I would think most clubs are, to be honest, with the age demographic, like I've said before. Predominantly aircraft, some armour tends to creep in, but we do try and keep that armour virus a little bit subdued by regularly vaccinating them, so that's not too bad. But we have got a really good spread, I think, of genres on there. Bikes, cars, ships, quite a few guys doing sci-fi and fantasy things as well, things like that, and figure painters. So I think we do have a really good mix.
Okay. So for someone who's listening, who's maybe been modelling on their own for a few years, what's the biggest thing that you'd gain from walking into the branch for the first time?
I would say probably just being among like-minded people. You know, it's a good camaraderie. There's always help available. It's help is just there, one WhatsApp message away from help, I think is the best thing, to be honest. So you're not modeling alone. You're not by yourself. You're just with a group of like-minded people.
Fair enough. Okay, and do you have any connections with organisations like Models for Heroes, actually helping people with mental health issues, obviously?
Not so much with Models for Heroes, no, but we do. There's quite a few charities that we support in the area or have supported over the years, one of which was Cleveland Mountain Rescue. We've raised money for them last year. We also, in the last 3 or 4 years, raised money for an organisation called Teesside Families Foundation, who help families in the Teesside area, one of which they've helped one of our members. So that's why we raised money for them. And then this year we're helping an organisation called Morgan House, which is founded by Healthier Heroes. They run an establishment that helps veterans, homeless veterans predominantly, who obviously left their service and then they find themselves homeless. So we're currently just raised money last year for them, donated it to them this year, and we're also going to be doing some building sessions with them to get involved, helping them with modelling. So we're going to be starting that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Very commendable. Okay then, so finally, what is it about IPMS Cleveland that keeps people coming back month after month? What's the secret to your success?
Probably a cheap bar next door, I would say, is the main thing.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that.
No, I think we're quite welcoming, I would say. We're a friendly bunch. I like to say that we're not really a model club, we're more a social club that does some modelling, I think is a better way of describing us. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we always have a good crack and a good laugh when we're out on the road or even just at meetings.
Okay, you say on the road, so what shows do you actually attend?
We go to the Bolton show, obviously. I think that's probably one of the best in the north. We do try to do all the shows in the local area. So there's Bolton, Wakefield, the Northern Show up at South Shields. There's a show at Darlington, which is our closest one, Skipton, Keighley. We've been down as far south as Milton Keynes. And at one point, 4 of us went down to the Spacecraft show this weekend. That was down at Bicester. We weren't displaying, we just went as visitors, just went for a look-see. We've actually been out to Prague. We've been to Ede a couple of times. Again, not displaying, just as visitors. So yeah, we do get out and about on the road a fair bit.
And Telford?
Definitely Telford. That's a weekend away. That for us that's a minibus trip and a van. We hire a minibus and a van and go down en masse with a few others tagging along in cars as well.
Fair enough.
It's usually a convoy of us heading down that way.
Okay. Well, gents, thank you very much for your time. We haven't actually heard much from Chris, which is very unusual.
I'll let him chip in if you want. If you've got any specific questions for him, ask away.
Well, it's just a case of, I was going to ask about, obviously you have involvement with the Gundam SIG. Are there many other branch or members of the branch that are actually involved in SIGs? And if so, what are they involved with?
So we've got members in the club that run the F-14 Tomcat SIG. We've got the Tank Transporter SIG, Star Wars SIG, UCAF SIG, IDF SIG,
Leopard SIG,
and the Leopard SIG. So we've got quite a few SIGs
I was going to say,
associated with our club.
Obviously SIG standing for Special Interest Group. I'm just trying to work out the connection with the F-14 SIG and the northeast of the UK. It's not a place I'd actually expect to see Tomcats.
Or Leopards either, to be honest, or Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars is probably okay because...
Well, you can go to the cinema to watch Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is okay because quite a few of us are quite geeky, so we like Star Wars.
I'm glad you said that.
But not Star Trek.
Oh, come on. You know, Star Trek's far superior.
In actual fact, we did have one guy, he started the Jerry Anderson SIG.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jerry Anderson SIG that was running for a couple of years, one of our members, Alan Jones, he started that. So yeah, we've got quite a few sci-fi guys in the club.
Yeah. Okay. Well, must admit, it was Jerry Anderson watching the stuff on a Saturday morning with my late father, watching the models, etc., that actually got me into model making. So Captain Scarlet and Thunderbirds and the like.
I think the guy that did the Jerry Anderson SIG, Alan Jones, he was at Bolton one year and he had a massive Thunderbird 2. I think that was photographing it was in one of your local newspapers.
Which in those days, I was actually living in Wiltshire, so it wasn't exactly local to me then, but yes. No, I know the model you're talking about. It was a superb representation of Thunderbird 2. So people are actually interested in joining. How do they actually find you? Have you got a website or a Facebook presence?
Yes. We've got an excellent website by our excellent web developer sat next to me. That is ipmscleveland.co.uk.
Okay.
I think most people tend to find us initially via the Facebook group. They ask to join the Facebook group. There's a couple of simple questions to answer, just to make sure that one of the questions is, where are you in the UK? Because we have had people from Cleveland, Ohio, attempting to join. That isn't the furthest distance person we've had. We had a request from New Zealand once. So, yeah, join the Facebook group if you're a modeler. Join the Facebook group if you're in the area. I'll chat to you on Facebook Messenger, tell you when meetings are. And if you want to come along to a meeting, then just come along.
Fantastic. Okay, gents, thank you very much, and we will speak again in the future.
Not a problem.
You're welcome.
Fishkop Models, elevating scale modeling to an art form. Experience highly detailed 3D printed upgrade parts that bring true authenticity to your builds. Creators of the acclaimed Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set for both the Kotare Spitfire and the Dambusters set for the Border Models Avro Lancaster. For bespoke design and printing, our service is as precise as it is personal, all at a reasonable price. Please take a look at our products on www.fishkopcompany.de. Shipping is available for all of our products worldwide.
Head to beyondtheboxart.com for host bios, guest features, and direct links to all our social channels. Your central hub for staying connected. And now, our featured interview. Conversations with the people shaping the hobby, from individual modelers to leading manufacturers, exploring every aspect of scale modeling together.
Right, guys, we are joined by Vladimir and Jakub from Eduard. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us from Czechia, and we will go in with the first question. Eduard was originally became known for its photo etch detailing sets, yet today the company produces an enormous range of products: plastic kits, the brass and resin, decals, masks and much more. How did the company grow from the original photo etch focus into the globally recognized brand it is today?
Difficult to answer. I think the main important thing was to be patient, because when we started, we were actually 5 people, and we started in basement of the house of one of us. So we haven't imagined that company could have more than 100 people and make 17 new items per month. When we started, we were very happy that we have the first photo etch, and it took more than 1 year to develop the first product what we were able to introduce to modelers. And because Czechs are a very conservative nation, actually, maybe it doesn't look like, but we are. So when we introduced the first photo etch, we expected the modelers will be happy and they will applaud us. And they were just looking and they said, why we have to buy it from you when it is anything what we can create ourselves? So it was quite depressive. But we continue and we introduce new products, and step by step we create quite big range of items and big range of lines. So it was anything what needed the time. Yeah, that was the main reason. Then we survive. Then we survive everything, actually.
So what was the very first photo etch you'd released?
It was for SU25 from OEZ company. Yeah. And I remember it because it was my design, and it was no computer design yet. It was handmade. Yeah.
Wow.
So I still remember that it was drawing on the big sheet of glass, yeah, because there was the lamp under the glass, because I needed to make that 2 layers of the film, yeah. And because I was photographer at the time, because it was my hobby, and I particularly get some money from some service, because I took pictures on car races, for example, and I also photographed some girls and marriage and so on and such. So I was able to prepare the film for production of photo edge. Yeah, so it was interesting time. Yeah. How I said, it was more than 1 year to create the first product which could be introduced. Yeah. And was still in the communist country, where it was now possible to establish the company. So it was hidden. It was gray economy. So it was interesting times. Yeah.
I can imagine. And do you still do any designing today, or do you leave it to others to do and you just sit back and watch?
No, already long time. I create my latest design in 1992, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it was footage for Mackie 200 for 70-second scale kit of Hasegawa. And it was already computer design. Yeah. And
he lets the design for us, but he always speaks to how we should do it.
But just a little, I think. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, Dan.
Perhaps this question regarding the 1/32 scale Mustang. Eduard previously suggested that the company would stay away from the 1/32 scale market, yet you recently announced a 32nd scale Mustang. So what changed in your thinking that led to that decision, please?
Mm-hmm. We did the 1/32 scale models in the past. It was a BF109E. I think it was released something around 2008, maybe. Vladimir can tell the right year. 2006, maybe
5 or 6, and we started early.
2005, 6, yes, something around that. And at that time, a lot of companies did their 1/32 scale kits. It was like a boom in 1/32 scale. A lot of Chinese companies started to do them. Tamiya also did started to do the 1/32 scale, and we felt that the market is like full. A lot of companies, also Wingnut Wings, started to do the 1/32 scale kits, and a lot of others. And it was like full tight market. We didn't see a big chance for us. So the second kit in that scale should be Spitfire Mark 9 in 32nd scale. But Tamiya jumped into that project.
Yeah.
And we decided to downscale it to 1/48 scale. And that time, it was like a big success for the company, the Spitfire Mark 9 in 1/48 scale. And that time we started to develop more and more projects in 1/48 scale. And we kept that good work from that time. So, but now the market is no longer like full of new kits in 1/32 scale. Tamiya left maybe completely the 1/32 scale kits, and probably, I don't know how about Chinese companies. They sometimes do 1/32 scale kits, new release, sometimes not. Yeah, but there's more space, more free space for new kits, and especially the Mustang B. I think that only Trumpeter that the kit in maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I don't know. So there is space. There is definitely space for a new Mustang B in that scale, and hybrid technology allows us to do it like economically. We will do just, I think, 5 molds. And a lot of the other parts will be 3D printed.
Okay.
Yeah, usually if you'll do it like a standard way, we will do probably 8, maybe 9 molds. It will be like a big investment into that project. But if we do it like in a hybrid line kit, it will be not such a big investment, and we can afford to do it. And we hope it will be a success. Yeah.
I'm sure it will be. There's one of the things that we've discovered and had a conversation about very recently on the show, in that there's a very big market for larger scale, high quality models rather than just injection molded, simplified models, shall we say. So those that you're actually producing with the high res is going to be absolutely well received.
We also would like to keep a good price on that kit. I think we could be probably below Tamiya 1 to 32nd scale kit price. So let's see. Yeah, it will be full of 3D printed parts. There will be completely 3D printed cockpit, completely 3D printed wheel bay. It will be easy to build. It will be best detailed wheel bay for Mustang you have ever seen. Probably best detailed cockpit. And yeah, there will be a lot of other stuff like we do, because there will be a lot of flash options. I think that all or many of other producers, they do usually 2-3 marking options. We will do at least 6. For some limited edition kits, we will release probably 8 or 10 camouflage options. So
can I just ask, would that mean that you would possibly do overtrees as well, or would you only offer it as a full box?
We are thinking about overtrees. We were thinking about it in 48 scale for the S199 kit. We didn't do it, but I think we can do it for the Mustang in 1 to 32nd scale.
Fantastic. That's great news.
Yeah. Overtrees will be like just the plastics and the 3D prints. I think we can do it. There should be no problem to do it.
It simply means that it must be more expensive than quarter scale standard kit overtrees.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. That's understandable. Yeah.
The decision to entry 32nd scale is connected with the technological progress and also with the economical approach to the project. Because when we got the idea to create something like that hybrid line, which was created step by step, we found that to do this line in the quarter scale could be not so much interesting for modelers like in 32nd scale. And also concerning the economy, the best economy for such project looks to be in 32nd scale. So because the 32nd scale market is smaller than quarter scale market, which is the biggest from all point of view. So this hybrid line could be more successful on that smaller market, because the big investment to the new tools is not so much effective in 32nd scale than in quarter scale.
Obviously, you've been designing multiple ranges of kits, masks and things recently. How large is the design team behind this, and how do you organise the workflow to sustain the level of output that you're actually producing? As you said earlier, you've got 70 or so products a month now that are actually hitting. I know every time your newsletter arrives, it's a case of, good, I want one of those, one of those, one of those, and just keep going through and thinking, how are you producing so much stuff?
Sometimes we do also 80 or 90 new projects.
Yeah, my wallet knows that.
Sometimes we get even 100.
Don't.
Yeah, we have a quite big team of project managers. I think we are 3 main project managers. One is a project manager for the kits. One is project manager for the accessories like photo etch parts, space, and masks. And I am the project manager for the Brazilian line mainly. We also do some other lines like the decals and the added vetters like the rivets, sets, and so on, but these are like marginal. The main lines are managed by these managers, and totally I think we have around, I can say, 20 designers, maybe more, that do the design of the accessories and also the design of the accessories, mainly photo etch parts and Brazil's 3D decals and 3D sets. Also the designers for the kits. I think that Vladimir is right now preparing the number of the total designers. But
I'm counting them.
And we also have a lot of designers that do the assembly guides. I think there are now 5 of them. So it's a huge number of people. We are also working with some like external cooperators These are like our designers, but they are living abroad. 2 of them are from Slovakia, and we have some other coordinators of the projects that like are helping us with the resources and so on.
Yeah, the Browson line seems to be a fantastic way forward certainly for aircraft instrument panels, and some of the details you're actually getting in comparison to what you're able to achieve with the photo etch, with the printed. And it's a case of, is that going to be a progression that's going to replace the photo etch in the future? Or do you see both still actually running? Because obviously with the Revell 132nd Meteor, you guys actually provided the photo etch that was included in the kit. But I would love to see a Browson Meteor F8 panel personally.
I think right now the 3D prints are replacing the photo etch parts on the market, worldwide, all around the companies. And I think that photo etch will be still alive for photo etch parts, because there are still some parts that are more valuable to be from photo etch or from brass. But yeah, the 3D prints are going to be more and more popular. They are much more easier to assemble, much more easier to work with. They are also much more detailed. There is no need to do so much like work with them for the modelers. They are maybe better for unexperienced modelers. And yeah, they are growing so fast. Like also in the quality. Yeah, because I think 3 years ago, we had just 4K printers. Now we have 14K printers. The resolution is going to be, and we will be buying 16K printers. So the resolution and the quality of the 3D prints is going to be still much more better and better. And it's rising so fast. So I think.
So will you look at going back to the early releases from Browson, the cockpits, and actually updating it to 14 or 16K resolution rather than just sticking with the 4K?
Yes. So some of them will be re-released, but this will be mainly for the casted parts, because all the old casted Browson parts will be replaced by the 3D printed parts. We already released some of them like in the Browson print line. And I think we will stay, now for the Browsons, we will stay on the 3D prints. We will not do so much casted parts. We do it now with the wheels only. And we are casting the instrument panels for the look, for the like pre-painted dashboards. Yeah. But all of the other sets will be 3D printed. And we also started the hybrid line. So also the other parts for the plastic kits are now 3D printed and not casted. And also for the limited edition kits, when we add some of the Browson parts, we also do them 3D printed. It's also easier for us to do it this way, not like the casted one, because it's also easier for the like manpower, work. It's easier to do it 3D printed.
Well, it is good to know that we are, in fact, in the process of the change right now. So we move our designers who designed the photo etch to design of 3D parts. So some ones were more successful, some less. But our plan is to make or create more 3D printed sets than photo etch sets. And we are also finding the balance between the lines. So it is not absolutely clearly seen what could be more successful. However, 3D prints are more successful than PET parts now, so that's clear. But you know how it is. Modelers always call for something what you don't do. Yeah, so when you do the 3D print set and you miss the photo etch set, they call, why don't bring the photo etch also? We need it. So it's not easy. Yeah.
You can please some of the people some of the time. You'll never please all of the people all of the time.
Absolutely. Another thing is that we need more capacity on the 3D printers, so we hard work on the new capacity, and we build a new office for 3D printers, and now we are waiting for delivery of 3D printers from Taiwan. which is a little bit complicated right now, so it is already delayed. So it is anything what we need, because we feel that we haven't enough production capacity of the 3D printers. So hopefully April will bring us some positive change. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Shane.
Yeah, guys, you mentioned there just about the design. So I'm interested to know, what do you think is the biggest misconception that modelers have about how the accessories across all of your ranges are actually designed and produced?
It's easy from my point of view. Modelers and customers very often or always think that the most successful accessory set of aftermarket sets are the sets for not perfect kits. Yeah? And they expect that aftermarket sets could improve the, let's say, wrong kit, which is not true. Most successful sets are made for the best kits. Yeah. So, like Tommy and Eduard, of course. Yeah. So that kits looks like perfect products which don't need anything else, but it is not true. Modelers always want improve their kits, their models, and they need the accessories. So if the kit is perfect, it is successful on the market, and you have more space to do anything. Yeah. And it is also, for the designers, it is much easier to create a photo etch set, for example, or even the 3D set for the perfect kit than for the older, wronger kit. Yeah. So this is anything what we do, photo etch and accessories already more than 30 years. And people still think that we have to do accessories for our own kits to improve them. It's difficult to explain them that not that we want perfect kits like a base for our work.
Our experience is also that if the customers buy the kit, only about 5% of them buy the accessories for it. Yeah, so sometimes it's 3%, sometimes it's 5%, sometimes it's maybe 10%, then 10% could be maximum. Yeah, we see that on the numbers of the sales of our kits and the accessories for our kits. Yeah, when we sell 10,000 of Mustangs, we sell usually 500 of engines.
Ah, interesting.
We got maybe the best share for 32nd scale B17 by HKM a couple of years ago, which was more than 10% of photo etch sets sold for this kit. And because we can very good, we can compare the numbers of the sales of the kits and photo etch, so we know it was so successful. And it is good to know that photo etch were extremely expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also the second thing. We sell really good the sets that are really expensive. Yeah. Sometimes if we release something that is really like complex and has to be expensive, we were worried that it will not sell, but it's absolutely not true. It usually sells very good.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, people appreciate the quality of your products, and you know, modelers want to produce the best quality work that they can, and ultimately are willing to pay what it costs for an excellent product. So yeah, fair play.
It's surely important, but people always think that we sell weekend line, which is cheaper line, better than Profipack, which is not true. We sell Profipack line twice than weekend line.
Okay, right. With that, Nevs.
Yep. So, gents, when you are looking at designing the kit and the historical references that you're drawing from contradict each other, things like the photographs that look different to the technical drawings, or the surviving aircraft in a museum looks completely different. How do you decide what is correct for the final kit?
Sometimes it's really hard to decide. I can tell sometimes it's really hard, but we always try not to work or go into go in deep for the planes that are in museums. Yeah, because planes in museums are or could be wrong, could be made from more planes, could be not reconstructed well, and it can cause us big problems. I think that one time we did, it was when we did Messerschmitt 109G. There was some problem with the cowling, I think, on engine. Vladimir could tell how was it. I think it was some shape of the cowling on the engine. And yeah, and we have not a good experience with the planes in the museums. Yeah, but when we know that the plane is original, we use it for the 3D scanning. It's a really good resource of the shapes for the 3D scanning to start the work kit. But we always try to keep the drawings. For example, we had a good drawing for P51D and also B. It was the drawing from, or I think it was original drawing from Boeing, and it was perfect. It was used for the whole kit. But we always try to keep or appreciate the originality of the historical photographs. These are the most welcome resource that we have, but it's really hard to get them. You usually don't have them for the parts that you really need, especially for the engine, cockpit, and so on. For some small details, it's hard to find the historical photographs of these parts.
However, the museum examples is also important. So we usually study the original aircraft or museum aircraft, and when it's possible, we see more aircraft to compare them, because during the reconstruction of the aircraft, the approaches of the various museums are various. Yeah, so the result could be also different. It is very well seen on the Mustang, for example, because we probably never study any aircraft so complex like Mustang. And I count how many Mustangs I saw in the past 6 or 7 years, and I counted them 48. And it's mainly about the wing, because there is a legend that the Mustang wings were perfectly smooth, that there are no rivets and no panel lines visible, which is not true. But because it is well documented how Mustang wing was made, modelers still think that it must be absolutely smooth, without no details, which is absolutely not true. So that's in fact is one of my hobbies, to see more Mustangs and to see the differences between the wings. And yes, you can find Mustang single flying conditions which are absolutely perfect, like modern car, but also a Mustang which is like the other aircraft, with the rivets everywhere and all rivets visible. Yes.
There's a lot of historical data that has been transposed, changed, modified over the years. And I've known it from references where on one of the aircraft that I'm very keen on, and you may have guessed which is the Meteor, there was a book written in the 1950s where they got a detail wrong, and they got it spectacularly wrong. But at that time, the information was reasonably well classified. So people who were writing subsequent books actually copied the original book, and the story magnified over the years. And for those that don't know, they think that this error, which was with the PR5, which was only ever one built, is absolute gospel. And it's totally wrong in every single book. And it's a case of trying to find the information that you guys are looking for to make sure that your kit is accurate, with actually getting out of the information that has been wrongly presented, in the same way that you say about the filler that was put onto the Mustang wing. Some aircraft may have had it to improve the laminar flow of the wing, but not all aircraft had it. And also the filling that they actually put on there was done very quickly. It wasn't put on, rubbed down, filled again, rubbed down to actually make it perfectly smooth. There's still an indication of where the actual rivet was. So there's still a mark on the aircraft. So I get exactly what you're saying. You have to look at the correct information, the correct sources to get the correct answer. So if trying to find some of the World War I aircraft you've got in the museum in Belgium, in Brussels, they are conserved rather than preserved. They've actually kept them in the original state. So you're looking for genuine articles, that's where you need to go. But trying to find aircraft that are from World War II that are still in the original condition and haven't been stripped of paint and haven't had everything, all the panels replaced and everything else, it's a very difficult job. And I'll take my hat off to you on the research that you guys have actually been doing, because you've been turning out a top-notch product.
It is. And part of our work is to balance all knowledges and introduce anything what could satisfy most modelers, let's say. It never be all of them, but most is the target, I think.
Yeah, fully get it. Okay then, with that, Dan.
Gentlemen, Eduard has a strong relationship with modelers through newsletters, forums and social media. How does feedback from the modelling community genuinely influence your future projects?
We also try to visit a lot of shows. I think it's also an important part of it. And I think we always try to listen to the customers. We always try to listen on all these parts that you were asked, like on the forums, on the shows, and also like we ask on, or we are writing the articles in info. We get the feedback from the customers. We sometimes got a lot of feedbacks from the customers. So we always try to keep in mind or to keep in touch with the customers. I think Vladimir does a really good job on the Czech forum. It's called Model Forum. He's answering all the questions there for, I think, maybe 10 years. And he is patient and keeps to answer almost all the questions. And this is like priceless. I think he gets a lot of feedback on what we do, what we should do, what we should do better. Sometimes it's hard to read it because we are working on some project for 1 or 2 years, and then you just read that it's like completely wrong. And sometimes when we are working on a new project and we release it, we immediately got a question, what will be the next project? Will you do, or we do P40E? And the first question is, when you will release the P40F?
Or MiG-21R.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural, isn't it, that people are always going to want the next thing. But I suppose as a business, you have to make a decision that regards what people want and what else is available, what else is currently available, what you think other manufacturers may be working on, for example, in 1/32 scale, as we know. And you're always going to get those customers or modelers who ask for that very obscure variant of an even more obscure aircraft in 1/23 scale or something like that. And I suppose you have to very politely say to them, well, maybe one day, but not right now.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions like this. Yeah, we try to be polite always, but
of course,
I think that the people that, or the customers that are buying our kits and are reading our info, newsletters and so on, they know what they can expect from us.
Yes.
We try to keep the line that we do. We always, or for the last maybe 10 years, we are doing mainly Second World War kit, 48 scale fighters mainly, and we keep it. Yeah, I feel that we have like a place on the market and that we can keep this work. And we are looking for some additional markets like this 1/32 scale kit. Sometimes the main check types, sometimes something like obscures like Z37 or Z126 Zlin and so on. But these are the Czech types, that I was speaking about.
Yeah.
We release these kits mainly for the E-Day show and for our Czech local market.
Yeah.
I can say that our biggest market worldwide is the Czech Republic market. The second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really. And the second one is the US market.
Yes, of course.
So these two could be the main markets for us, and we do the types that are aimed for these markets. But the European market is also bigger. Yeah. When you take all the European countries, they are bigger than the US market. Yeah. But if you divide them by the countries, they are smaller than US market.
And UK market is third.
Yeah, UK market is third.
Yeah. Can I just say that if any of our listeners don't already regularly check out the Eduard page, the info magazine is absolutely fantastic and it is free. So all of our listeners, go there and download it, and all of the back issues are on there. It is I read every one of them, and sometimes I print it and take it to work with me and read it. Other times I can read it off of my phone. But yeah, it's a free resource. Take it, use it, and enjoy it, because it really is there. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And sticking with your social media, we have to know, who is the young lady that did the unboxing video?
It's
Because that was absolutely brilliant.
Katarzyna is doing great work. She's the marketing manager for, I think, now almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing a great job.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Even though it wasn't obviously in English, it actually translated brilliantly.
I think she can speak English, but she still doesn't want. He needs more experiences and more visit in the UK and the US. I think one times, maybe next year already, she will speak perfectly. I believe her. Yeah. Maybe it could be interesting. I tell it. She joined Eduard already when she was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a lot of experiences with our company. Yeah. Because her father was working for Eduard for a longer time, so that's the reason why she was in the company.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to have a conversation with her in the future. You'll just have to say, here's the microphone, speak.
We will.
We are going to take her to the US this year.
Okay.
We also to Telford in the autumn, and I believe when she will get the experiences, she will speak very well, and she is very communicative actually. So
she'll need to take her autograph pen because she's very popular.
You'll tell her.
Oh, we will. We'll see her. We have a stand at Telford as well, so we will see her there. Hopefully we'll see you guys as well. Right. Okay. The one who was having the beauty sleep and used the excuse that his computer wouldn't start, Boulders, has now joined us.
No, it was IT, believe it or not. The laptop's not been on for 2 weeks. So there was loads of updates and kept restarting, so I couldn't log on. So, right. Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh, dear.
Eduard's Brazing range has become one of the most respected resin aftermarket lines in the hobby. How closely are the Brazing products developed alongside your kits, and how early in the design process do these projects begin?
Usually, when we are finishing the design of the kit, we are starting the design of the accessories for it. Yeah. We always try to have all the main accessories finished like in the same month that we are releasing the kit. We usually fail and can't catch it, but we are always trying to do it. So we usually release the accessories maybe 2-3 months after the original release of the kit. And yeah, that's how we try to do. Yeah, we always catch the release of the kit with the photo etch parts and with the masks. It's quite easy to do the design, and it's okay with these type of sets. It's more complex and more hard for us to catch the date with Brazing kits, Brazing accessories. Because, for example, to do the design of the engine or the cockpit, it can take 2-3 months to do the design. And it can take 1 month to prepare the print, to prepare the supports, to divide all the parts. if we should combine the two parts to one, or if we should split one part to two parts. So sometimes it takes 14 days, sometimes it takes a whole month.
Oh, absolutely. The detail on the engines are superb.
However, it is good to say that we would like to get better coordination between the design of the kits and accessories, because it is made by two design offices, it's clear. And from my point of view, the main problem is that the timing is different. And the setup of the design of the plastic kit is already done 1 year before or prior when we start the design of accessories. And it makes some troubles sometimes. Yeah. So we will surely work hard to improve the coordination between the two offices, which is mostly Jakub's job, early at least.
We also try to prepare the plastics for the Brazil parts. So, for example, for the gun base, for the engines, and so on, we try to make like a space where you should remove the covers for the engine. Yeah, we try to mark the spaces and prepare the plastics for removing the covers, for example. So this is how we want to try to help the customers to assemble the accessories much more easier.
We got a lot of new experiences with the hybrid line, because there is very close cooperation between designer of the plastic and designer of the 3D parts. And they cooperate much more closer than in the past on the classic kits. Yeah, so I think we will be able to employ that experiences generally in all lines in the future. I hope.
Yeah, it works well. They are not killing each other.
Oh, yes. That would be embarrassing.
Especially when one of them was Czech and the other Slovak, right?
Right.
It is something like Englishman and Scot.
Yes, I know what you're saying. I couldn't possibly confirm or deny that, but yes, I know exactly what you're saying. One thing that I've just thought of with regard to the Brassin line, have you thought about doing a range of undercarriage doors for aircraft? When you look at what you actually get in the kit for an undercarriage, you get a fantastic wheel accessory from yourselves, you get hydraulic lines, you get all sorts of add-ons on the actual leg. The one thing that's always missing and is always oversized in a plastic kit is the undercarriage door. And you end up with a big slab of plastic, where in reality it's a very thin piece of metal that's normally profiled and shaped to contour with the leg and would benefit from having your treatment.
Right now, we are releasing much more undercarriage legs than in the past, because we got a good material for the 3D print of the legs. The material is absolutely perfect. It's hard. It's not bending. And so we will be releasing more and more undercarriage leg sets. And included in this set will be also the doors, for the wheelbase. So, these covers will be in the accessories, but it will be still printed, not like really thin like from the photo etch parts. I think the photo etch are maybe more realistic for it, but it's more complex and harder for the modelers to do it. So I think the 3D print is a good compromise.
So guys, I just mentioned about the amazing detail and expanding on the cockpit detail that you guys are so well known for. You've introduced products like Space and Look to bring that highly detailed cockpit upgrades to modelers in a simpler format. What inspired the development of these newer accessory concepts?
I think that it's maybe pushed by the technology. Because all the technologies are in-house of the company. We do everything in-house. We have the tooling workshop, we have the 3D printers, we have the printer for all the colored pre-painted panels, photo etch parts, so on. We do the 3D printed decals. We have the cutter for the masks. We do the injection, everything. And I think that these products were pushed by the technology, because we have had the technology of 3D print, we had the technology of the printed parts, like the pre-painted photo etch parts. So it was quite easy and also pushed by the market to do these types of products, to do space set, to do look panel. It's like pre-painted casted part. So yeah, and it has a quite good results on the financial results. It's selling really good. So we feel that the customers like these sets and they buy it. It's easy to assemble. It's not so expensive. So I think it's a good combination.
It is mostly about the technology, how Jake said. Yeah. So, for example, right now we are going to invest the laser cutter, plotter, for the mask, which could improve the mask very much, we hope. And the same has to be about the space and the look sets, because there are the new machines on the market. So we wish to buy 1 or 2 new machines for the printing of the space set. And we expect it will be much sharper, with less raster on the surface. Generally, it will be new level of that sets, and it could open the new space on the market, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's been quite an organic transition then, almost. The technology, you said, pushed it, but it sounds like it's been really well embraced as well. You're like pushing yourselves to, I guess, like say, embrace these new challenges and invest in it as well, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. It's also a big decision if we should invest in the technology, because, for example, the investment in first 3D printers was a huge investment. Yeah, we had, I think, 6 printers that are Sigas 4K Pro, and one cost 30,000 euro. Yeah, and we had 6 of them. So it was investment of more than 150,000 euro into them. And now these days we buy much more cheaper printers. One costs less than 1,000 euro, around 700 euro. So now it's much easier decision if we should go into it or not go into it.
Yeah, incredible.
I should imagine the first decision to buy and to invest that much money, Vladimir actually had hair in those days.
Yeah, that's my responsibility.
Oh dear. Okay.
And critics, yeah, also, especially from the accountants. They always has the major question, it is really needed?
As normal, but the way the company has actually developed from the embracing new technology has proven that it was a wise decision and the best way to actually go forward. So hats off to you guys. Well done. With that, Nevs.
Eduard is obviously very capable of surrounding a model kit with a complete support network when it comes to accessories from masks, decals, photo etch, and of course the 3D printed resin upgrades. Was this always part of the company's long-term strategy?
Not always. When we started in the basement, we focused to the photo etch only. Yeah. But whole company was growing, and we were looking for the new possible ways how to grow and what we can do and what we can bring on the market. So we talk step by step more technologies to the company and more opportunities to bring something new. Sometimes it didn't happen well, sometimes yes. And what you can see today, it's a result of a long time development and growth of the company. So it was step by step, quite slow, but no, it is great, I think, what we have now.
Yeah, I think that for me, speaking from my own experience, the dual combo sets that Eduard produce, I think are fantastic, because one of the things that we touch on the podcast is going away from just producing yet another plastic kit and more towards providing an experience in a box. And the dual combos really do that. I've got the BF109 Gustav set, and the Iwo Jima Mustang set looks fantastic, and I really want the new Kurfürst set that's just come out. But I think it's fantastic that you package all of that together You put a sample of these accessory upgrades in the box, but also having so many deco options that it forces people to want to have to buy more kits, because the deco options that you go with are so eye-catching that people are going to want to do not just the 2 in the box, but they're going to have to buy another 2 boxes just to do the full range of the deco options.
Yeah, I think that we feel this like an advantage against the concurrency. Yeah, we can add all of these for a reasonable price, and we also can show the customers what we all do, what they can buy for the kits, the other brands. Yeah.
And what you said, it is a good example how one improvement, one modernization brings the other step and open a new way for other development and other improvement. So when we introduce the new decals, we open ourselves a way to bring more marking and painting options in the kits. And when we had the chance, we saw that when we are able to offer 8 or 10 marking and painting options, that could be good to offer the other kit, other set of plastic for the other model in the boxing. Yeah, so
yeah, it's a brilliant idea.
Is there an aircraft project Eduard really wanted to produce but ultimately had to abandon, and what made it impossible to pursue?
Of course, yeah. A good story could be Schwalbe, for example. I don't know how I can tell it. It is maybe politically not correct. Oh, okay. When we decided to do Schwalbe, which was maybe 15 years ago, we didn't want to be in the conflict with some other manufacturer, especially with Tamiya, yeah, because we already had the experience from the Spitfire Mark 9, like Jake already said, that we were working on the 32nd scale Spitfire Mark 9, and when the kit was very close to be finished, or the design only was already on the 80% of the design work, Tamiya had introduced their 32nd scale Spitfire Mark 9. So we wanted to avoid such a conflict. So we consulted with them and we asked Mr. Tamiya in Nuremberg if Tamiya is going to release Messerschmitt 262 Schwalbe in quarter scale in the nearest future. And he asked his staff, Schwalbe, Messerschmitt 262, do you know what is it? And the Japanese guy said, yes, boss, it is the German jet. We will not do it. So we started the design job because we were pretty sure that Tamiya will never release Schwalbe, at least in the nearest 5 years. And 6 months later, it was introduced in Shizuoka. So we stopped everything, but we still have Schwalbe in the focus. So we will surely do our own Messerschmitt 262 Schwalbe in quarter scale. So it is one sample of such aircraft, what we want to do. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, looking forward for your company, let's say in the next 10 or even 20 years, how do you think plastic modelling will evolve, and what role would Eduard like to play in that future for us modellers?
We still want to exist. And maybe it could be a good question to Jake, because after 20 years, I'll be 85. Oh, I'm not pretty sure I will remember anything that time.
Yeah, but take your example from Mr. Tamiya-san.
But we would like to be leader of the market.
It's really hard to predict. In the last 5 years, there were so many changes worldwide. Yeah, we had the COVID. We had a big inflation in the whole world. We had a big inflation in Czech Republic. We had the big problems with the materials. We had the big problems with the people. And the war in Ukraine started. And now the war in Iran started. It will also cause us the problems, because we see that the price of the material for plastic injection is rising right now. And a lot of problems are coming in years. A lot of crises are, or will be in next, I think, 10 or 20 years. And we need to hope that we will survive, that the modelers will survive, that the customers will keep good relationship with our company. We hope that people will still like what we do, that maybe some technologies will not kill the way how we do the models, or if we will adapt the new technologies. I hope we will, because we always try to adapt the new technologies. And yeah, that's what I hope we can do, that we can adopt new technologies. We will keep our good work. We will keep the performance of how we do now. And that the modelers will not die, because we can see not a lot of younger modelers all around the world on the shows, especially in the US. It's like there are so many older people in the US on the shows.
But all that crisis also bring opportunity. So the future will bring the opportunities. And my personal experiences is that all the crises in the past helped us, because it was a big reason to think how to continue, how to fix the problems, and how to improve us. And we always improve our company, our approaches, or processes during the crisis. Yeah. And on the opposite, I think that the times of prosperity are quite dangerous for the companies, because they think that it is not necessary to improve anything because everything works well. So why we have to do some changes, right? But the crisis pushes people to improve themselves and to look forward for the new improvements, new ways how to do things. So I believe this crisis, what we have, and all the problems with the war will bring the new opportunities and allow us to improve ourselves. And also, the other thing, it is a little bit correct or cruel, but it is also good to think about crisis that all companies around have the same problems like we have. And someone will die, someone will survive, and we wish ourselves to be among the survivors. So maybe it could be the best wish for the future, to survive.
On that cheerful note, okay, we'll have a couple of very quick questions just to finish off from some of our benchmates from online. Lewis Williamson, the model-making trucker, won an auction on the 48 in 48 weekend to ask a question. And he said, how is Eduard adapting to 3D printing? And will you offer more 3D printed parts or databases for people to download files in the future?
I was asking this question, Vladimir, maybe 2 years ago. And Vladimir said to me, until I will be in this company, we will never sell our data.
Okay.
But yeah, regarding the 3D printing, we will be still going deeper and deeper into 3D printing, and we will release more and more accessories in like 3D printed. We are now building the big farm of the 3D printers. We hope it will count maybe 40 machines this year.
I'm quite flexible. Maybe it doesn't look like, but I'm really flexible in my mind, and I quite often change my mind. Like concerning this question, I still didn't change my mind.
That's fair enough. Okay then, Chaz's Scale Model Workshop asks, are you planning on doing any more jets in the future? Obviously, you've mentioned that you want to do the 262. Anything else that you really want to cover that you can share with us?
We will do one more earlier. This year we will release MiG-15 in 48 scale.
Nice. Very nice. I'm guessing check markings to start with?
I think we will start with Royal Class Edition if anything would not change. Or maybe with a limited edition kit for an E-Day show. Sorry, the E-Day will be in June. So no special limited edition for the June E-Day show. Sorry.
It was originally for E-Day, but E-Day was moved to June, so MiG-15 is still scheduled for what, November, I guess.
Telford then.
Telford, yes.
Yes, brilliant.
However, this MiG-15 is aircraft quite important for the Czech market because it is difficult to believe, but the Czech Air Force had 1,000 MiG-15 in 50s. Yeah. I never understand where that aircraft were in such small country.
You're falling over them. Okay then, Carl Brevet asks, have there been any changes to the way that you make your decals after they were installed, both regarding the colour saturation and the carrier film?
It's difficult to answer because there is still a group of modelers who follow this mind that the color saturation is not correct and is wrong. I don't agree fully. It could be better. It could be always better, and everything could be better. But I think it is still following the early months or early years of this technology. When it was introduced, it wasn't perfect, that's true, but it is much better now. And I think the color saturation is much better now than it was 3-4 years ago, or even 5 years when we started. And I think it is quite difficult to see the differences between screen print and digital print right now. So
it's definitely moved on, definitely.
I also have to say that all technologies have some advantages and disadvantages. And this technology allows us to do really thin decals that are easy to apply. You can or don't have to release the film. The results are also good when you don't peel off the film. And yeah, there could be some, for customers, the colors could not be great. But for example, the thinness of the decal is great.
It is also important to say that these techniques allow us to bring kits what we release, like the limited edition kits and Royal Class kits are built up on our ability to do such complex and big decal sheets. And to use classic screen print, it won't be possible to do it. That it could be too expensive, and also the capacity must be much higher then. So for us, our decals are the gate for big part of our production, actually. So it is, for us, it could be very difficult and probably not possible to go back to screen print.
We also print the decals for, I think, maybe more than 50 companies in the business. And I think that people or customers often don't realize that these are our decals, because usually they don't know that the decals comes from us, and they do.
I sometimes test our products on the people. I understand it is not correct and not human, but it is useful. And when I test their ability to see what decal sheet is ours and what is from the other company, or what is screen print and what is digital print, they have usually about 40% success to recognize what is what. So that is why I think it is not so terrible, people say. And there are a lot of companies. We strictly recommend customers, the other companies, not announce that their decals are from Eduard. And I think all of them who are so brave that they tell their customers all decals are printed by Eduard. Like Special Hobby or the guys from Pilsen, Kuba, do you remember what? Armicast, They proudly say everyone that they have decals printed by Eduard, and they always say that they have better colors than we are.
What do modelers know, eh?
Okay, Wayne Stiller asks, resin obviously is becoming more and more popular. Do you see it fully replacing PE rather than just the hybrid kits which are coming out now?
Yeah, in the hybrid kit, we completely deleted the PE parts. The hybrid kits are without PE parts. It's mainly due to the assembly, because we feel that a lot of customers hate the photo etch parts. And so we try to do the hybrid line kits, like the parts are not necessary to use. But sometimes people argue that they want the steel seat belts. They really like it. They are pre-painted. They are easy to apply. So I think that it will not completely replace the photo etch parts, but it will make a big hit to photo etch parts. And we will probably still do the photo etch part sets, but not so much as in the past.
Okay. So with your new laser, would you think of doing fabric seatbelts?
We'll see what all we can do with it.
That's a yes then.
I was not thinking about fabric seatbelts, but it could be a way. I don't say no.
We had the line of the fabric seatbelts in the past, but it was one of the blend ways. It wasn't successful, so we stopped it.
Okay.
What we want and what I want to develop now are 3D printed seatbelts, printed separately from the seat. Yeah, I think it could have a good feature. Yeah, but it is actually not easy. Yeah.
We will try it on the 1 to 32nd scale Mustang, but I don't know if we will release it in the kit, but we will try. We will do samples.
Experiment.
Yeah, experiment.
Okay, final question from our listeners. From Mark Inman. Is there an update on the Junkers 87 Stuka project?
It is the early stage of the project. It is the pre-setup stage, so we still complete the documentation and everything. Maybe you know that we are cooperate with the company or group of the companies who are working on the reconstruction of the of Stuka, which is mostly done in Czech Republic close to us, and we help them to scan the original Stukas around Europe. So it will be the second time in Hendon Museum. And we do the reverse engineering, in fact, because there are no blueprint. Everything was destroyed on the end of the war, or maybe it is somewhere in Russia. No one knows. Yeah. So we scan the real aircraft and prepare the documentation for the reconstruction on the aircraft, which work well. And our plan is to use our data, so what we have for our Stuka, or the Stuka kit. Yeah. But it is close to be set up, the project, but it is ready, but not yet started.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. And before we finish, perhaps you could give our audience a little update on E-Day.
The E-Day will be held on 27th and 28th June. For this year, it will be the first time after, I think, maybe 7 years for 2 days. In fact, we will start on Friday. We will settle everything up, and the complete program will be on Saturday and Sunday. There will be a lot of workshops, a lot of talks with the people from the business. It will be held in, I think, 8 halls totally, 3 halls for the vendors, 1 hall for the show, for the competition, and 2 halls for the clubs, and 1 hall for the Eduard vendor stand, and some others for the food and drinks and so on.
Big party on Saturday evening.
Yeah, and there will be a big party on Saturday evening. We will maybe grill a pig. There will be a concert, I think. And yeah, all are welcome. All the listeners of the podcast are welcome to come.
There has to be famous Czech rock band on the Saturday evening, so it could be a lot of fun there.
It's held in Litoměřice city. It's about 1 hour from Prague. You can take a plane to Prague and then catch a bus or train to Litoměřice. It's quite easy to get there, or it's easy to rent a car in Prague and take a car to Litoměřice city. It's a really old city, beautiful medieval city with good hotels, good restaurants and pubs. And it's also really cheap for the accommodation and for beer. The beer costs less than £2.
Okay, so there are many castles, battlefields. It is well-known fortress from 18th century. Yes, it is an interesting place to visit, I think. Yeah. And in the future, we hope that it will be also possible to open Eduard for the visits. Not this year. We not decided to do it, but we hope it will be possible to visit Eduard also during the E-Day weekend. Yeah, so
that would be fantastic. Okay, we look forward to that in the future. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you'll come back on again in the future if we haven't frightened you off.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the invitation to your podcast. It was a great time.
You are very welcome, and you're welcome back anytime. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
We'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye chance.
Do you want cutting-edge detail for your kits? Then take a look at Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, run by USAF veteran Mike Reeves. With real-world aircraft experience as a crew chief, Mike knows exactly where accuracy counts. And today, he's bringing that knowledge to life with precision 3D printed parts. From seamless intakes and nozzles to dropped flaps, pods, pylons, and cockpit upgrades, Phase Hanger's prints capture the crisp edges and fine detail that limitations in injection molding just can't reproduce. From 1/72nd to 1/32nd scale, you'll find add-ons from Cold War classics to the latest frontline jets with frequent new additions to the product range. Every piece is designed by modelers, for modelers, and faithfully reproduced on state-of-the-art printers and shipped worldwide, and are ready to drop straight into your next build. With additions to the product line landing all the time, there's always something fresh to elevate your next build. Explore the full range at phasehangerresin.com and follow Phase Hanger on Facebook and Instagram for regular updates and inspiration. Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, authentic detail designed with a veteran's eye and available to modelers everywhere. Phase Hanger is a proud sponsor of the Beyond the Box Art podcast.
Benchmates. Curious what else is out there? Head over to modelpodcasts.com, where you'll find a list of all the scale modeling podcasts available.
That brings us to the end of an absolutely jam-packed episode. So, from Dan.
Hiya Benchmates, get building that stash.
Boulders.
Cheerio all.
From Shane.
Take care, Benchmates.
From Nevs.
Bye everyone, seeing you in the next episode.
And from myself, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye for now. Right, I can slip that in, and...
Pardon?
We'll leave it.